Some blogger on my phone was asking what to do if you're still a virgin in your 30s. His brilliant answer? Restart your life. I cursed at the screen. Restart, my ass. I was a virgin, yeah. Never had a relationship. College was all gaming, no girls. After graduation, no chance. Got a decent job but buried in work and too awkward to make a move. The blind dates all ended the same, 2 WeChat chats, then they wanted the car, the house, the bride price. I stopped going and just lay flat. Meanwhile, everyone else's kids were running errands and I was still alone. But I never wanted to restart. Had a 50 square meter apartment, a crappy manual car, some savings. Ate fine, had hobby money. Life was decent. These bloggers just manufacture anxiety for a living. Closed the app. Past 4 a.m. Told myself I'd drop dead if I kept this up. Phone down, eyelids heavy, and I was out. When I opened my eyes, blinding sunlight through old familiar curtains. Ancient fan whirring away. I was dazed. Sitting in a classroom surrounded by kids in blue and white school uniforms from over a decade ago. High schoolers. Middle-aged woman lecturing at the podium, her face familiar. The students next to me also familiar. Then it hit me. That was my high school deskmate, Jiang Chun. They were all my high school classmates. Hadn't seen them in over 10 years. I checked behind me, just a trash can. The back row by the bin, throne of the kings. I froze. Could it be? I've been reborn. Reached for my phone out of habit. Nothing. Right, no phone in high school. Then I spotted a little mirror on a girl's desk in front of me. Tapped her shoulder, asked to borrow it. She laughed. Said, since when did I become so vain? But handed it over. I opened that mirror carefully. A slightly younger version of my own face stared back. Exactly how I looked in high school. I was buzzing. I really had been reborn. Senior year, because that was when Jiang Chun and I were deskmates. Why did I suddenly get reborn? Could even God not stand a 30-year-old virgin? Honestly, both surprising and a little helpless. If some capable person got reborn, they could use past knowledge to become the richest guy around. But I wasn't that person. Just ordinary. Never a simp, never dumped for being poor, never cheated on, lived comfortably. Shouldn't have been the one reborn. And yet here I was. Having a second chance, I had a clear picture of myself. Ordinary nicely, loser bluntly, trash worse. In a novel I'd be an extra. Dreamed of wealth, wavered in poverty, yielded to power. At most a bit of good luck. Reborn or not, my core wouldn't change. Starting a business needed capital I didn't have. Stocks? Knew a few that'd rise, but over a decade away. Lottery? Never bought tickets, remembered nothing. World Cup? Didn't know how many players on a team. Novels? My last one only made money on luck. And it was 2009, ByteDance didn't exist yet. Knew some future hits but only skimmed them. Forgot most of the plot. Plagiarizing was out too. Was I going to stay an extra even after rebirth? Then I saw the wall clock. October 14th, 2009. Next to it, 240 days until the Gaokao. My grades. Freshman year was decent, dropped in sophomore year, but if I'd maintained, a first-tier university was possible. Maybe even a 211. Then I got addicted to gaming, pulled all-nighters at internet cafes. Ended up in vocational college. If I could at least get into vocational college this time, fine. But with my current level, probably couldn't even manage that. Forgotten almost everything. Even with nearly a year left, I wouldn't absorb anything. Damn it, reborn and can't even make it into college? I was scratching my head when a mechanical voice sounded in my head. Ding. Wealth system activated. That cold mechanical notification sounded like heavenly music. I knew it. A piece of trash like me getting reborn. I definitely had to have a system. Jiang Chun suddenly asked if I had a fever, why I'd been shaking. 18-year-old Jiang Chun, hair still sticking up stubbornly. School uniform zipped halfway with some Hook logo t-shirt underneath. I swallowed hard and told him my butt was just a bit itchy. He immediately perked up, grabbed a gel pen from the desk, leaned in with this mischievous grin and said he'd cure me but it might hurt a bit. I told him to get lost and rolled my eyes. We were pretty close in high school, desk mates and all. Only lost touch after graduation when we went to different cities. After calming down, I started examining the system in my head. Wealth store. Host, Chun Fan. Age 18. Wealth points, 0. The interface was dead simple, only one function so far, the wealth store itself. I opened it up and got this shop interface like in a video game. 12 items arranged in a 3x4 grid, each glowing different colors. Most were white. One was green. The white stuff was basic daily necessities, soap and such, priced at like 2 to 6 wealth points each. My eyes went straight to the green one, an energy potion. When I focused on it, the description popped into my head. Its only effect was removing negative statuses and restoring energy. Price 1,000 points. The white items were useless since I could buy them in real life, but this potion was extremely useful. I pulled all-nighters constantly and felt like dying every time. With this I'd be back to peak instantly. Plus, if it removed negative statuses, could it remove that kind of negative status too? At 1,000 points, it was practically a steal. At the bottom of the shop, I noticed a countdown. Refresh in 13 hours, 40 minutes. Items weren't fixed, they refreshed like a game. Based on my gaming experience, that potion would probably be gone after tomorrow's refresh. But there might be better stuff later. I tried buying it, insufficient wealth points, purchase failed. Right? My points were 0. How exactly do I earn them? I checked the wealth points column and a description surfaced. Simple, every yuan earned gave 1 wealth point. Earn 1,000, get 1,000 points. Spending points and spending money were separate. If I spent 1,000 points, my points went down but the actual yuan stayed right where it was. Having figured out the system, I started thinking about how to make money. Then the system interrupted. Ding, would I like to claim the newbie gift pack? I was delighted, clicked claim without hesitation. An interface popped up like choosing a reward after opening a treasure chest. Gold frame, 3 options. First was a book icon, second a stock chart, third looked like a PowerPoint. Just images, no text. I thought the gift pack would at least give some money. Why call it the wealth system otherwise? The book, write novels? The chart, trade stocks? I barely understood K-lines. The PPT, draw big pies for the boss? I started cursing at how crappy it was. Then stopped. Newbie gift pack, wealth system. Couldn't give useless things, right? Moved my consciousness to the first option. Description appeared, 1 Chidian hit web novel, unreleased. I looked at the third option. This time, a massive amount of content surfaced in my mind. Took several minutes to process. It was a brand business operation guide for 3 squirrels. Covered everything, company registration, IP operation, choosing OEMs, commercial promotion, financing negotiations, every critical milestone. Even what patterns to print on the packaging bags. With this guide, even someone like me would have a decent shot at running it successfully. I remembered 3 squirrels would eventually hit nearly 10 billion in market value. With this guide, a net worth of 10 billion was entirely possible. But the prerequisite, at least 200,000 in capital. My family didn't have 200,000, not even 100,000, no houses or cars to sell. I wanted all 3 prizes but could only pick one. Joked internally about watching an ad to get them all. Then decided to return to my old profession, writing novels. Didn't hesitate, chose the first option. The moment I confirmed, a book-like image popped out of the frame and started scrolling rapidly, like a slot machine mixed with pages flipping by frame by frame. First, Lord of the Mysteries. Second, De Feng Watchman. Third, Beyond the Deep Space. Fourth, Sacred Ruins. My pupils constricted. Lord of the Mysteries, the first Cthulhu-style masterpiece on Chidian to break 100,000 average subscriptions. Countless fans across the internet. De Feng Watchman, the phenomenal 2021 blockbuster that sold copyrights until the author's hands hurt. Beyond the Deep Space, another Chundong masterpiece. Whichever one I drew was a trump card. The scrolling slowed down. Finally stopped, High Martial Era. I stared at those 4 characters for 2 seconds, then let out a long breath. High Martial Era, the 2024 super blockbuster, 100,000 average subscriptions, over 700 Alliance Masters, 3 Golden Alliance Masters worth 100,000 each. In my previous life, I followed this book for over half a year, waiting for updates daily. Thanks to it, author Feng Xian went straight to godhood from the 12 Heavenly Kings. In 2009, high martial arts didn't exist in web novels. Fantasy was fantasy, urban was urban. High martial era was different, complete system from the root. Martial arts college entrance exams, leveling through practice problems, visualizable combat power, global sect rankings. I believed once published it'd create a brand new genre. Claimed the book. The next second, countless characters flooded into my mind like a breached flood. When it ended, I could read those characters anytime. Reward wasn't physical, had to type it out myself. If only it had given me a USB drive. But I was satisfied. In my previous life, scratching my head for ideas, I managed at most 8,000 words a day. Now, no plot to think about, no dialogue to ponder. Full text in my head. Hands just needed to move. Like typing from a manuscript. Jiang Chun nudged me. Teacher was calling me. Looked up at the Chinese teacher. Couldn't remember her surname. She asked what thoughts 2 lines of poetry reflected. Turned to Jiang Chun for help. He pointed to the lines. How much sorrow. Like a river of spring water flowing east. Li Yu's Yu Mei Ren. I knew the background, imprisoned in Bianjing, final moments of his life. Answered that the poem reflected Li Yu's fall from monarch to prisoner. Boundless sorrow continuous like river water. Teacher nodded. Told me to sit down and pay attention. Asked Jiang Chun the time, 11:55. He suggested braised vegetables. Said go early or there'd be none left. I agreed. It was a little past 1 in the afternoon and I was slumped over my desk, bored out of my mind. Biology teacher was rattling on about cell division or whatever. Meiosis, homologous chromosomes, sounded like gibberish. In my previous life I was trash at biology, and apparently my reborn brain didn't magically learn it either. Since I couldn't understand, I stopped pretending, propped my chin up and stared out the window. High martial era was sitting in my head, all 3.92 million words, not a single character off. The system gave me a super hit from 2024, a masterpiece with 100,000 average subs. Copy the whole thing, no hesitation. Why change it? The original author typed it out character by character, the market verified it, millions of readers voted with their wallets. As a failing little author who only made a few tens of thousands relying on luck and gimmicks, what right did I have to think I could improve it? It was 2009. I didn't have a computer. To upload novels, I'd have to hit the internet cafe and pull all-nighters. Cheaper that way too, $10 for an all-nighter versus 3 an hour regular rate. My weekly allowance was 120 yuan, which covered 5 all-nighters if I scrimp. In my previous life, I pulled 6 consecutive all-nighters, though that was for gaming, not writing. Bell finally rang. Jiang Chen bolted up to go smoke with the back row crew. I didn't smoke, so I just sat there planning. 10-minute break over. Some young female teacher walked in, dressed fashionably by 2009 standards. Clicked her heels to the podium and announced our PE teacher was sick again. So we were having English instead. I rolled my eyes. Every PE teacher could never avoid getting sick. Classic. Nobody else even reacted, they were used to it. 8 p.m. Evening self-study finally ended and I couldn't wait to get out. Being stuck in a classroom all day after years of games and short videos was pure torture. Headed for the school gate, relying on memory. Almost made it out too, except some middle-aged dude stopped me. Where's your pass? Shit. Students living on campus couldn't leave at night, and off-campus kids needed a pass every time. I patted my neck. Nothing. Pockets, nothing. Wait, did I live on campus? No, I definitely lived off-campus senior year. Then I remembered seeing something blue in my desk earlier, but I was too busy thinking about my novel to care. Told the teacher I forgot it and ran back. Dug through the desk, there it was. Blue card with pass on it, school seal, my name and photo. Showed it at the gate and finally got out. Fresh air hit my face. And then another problem. Where did I live? Parents had rented a small room near school for 100 yuan a month. Courtyard with 7 or 8 rooms, all rented to students like me. Tiny room, no bathroom, no kitchen, just a bed and desk. Wash up at the courtyard faucet with cold water only. Had to boil water with a kettle. Compared to my life a dozen years later, it was rough. But I followed the landmarks, potato chip sandwich shop across the street, courtyard less than 100 meters from the gate. Saw a student in uniform go in, so I followed. Inside the courtyard, memory kicked in a bit. My room was on the left side entering. But there were 2 rooms on the left and I couldn't remember which one. Over a dozen years since I'd been here in my previous life. Not easy to figure out instantly. I didn't want to stand around guessing, so I just started trying doors. Reached for my pocket, empty. Then remembered. In high school I kept my keys on my belt, not my pockets. Afraid of losing them. Unhooked the keyring, 3 keys total. 1 for the old home's main gate, 1 for the back door, so the third had to be this room. Slid it into the lock, turned gently, and click. Open. Huge relief. Pushed the door and stepped inside. Looked around. Exactly as I remembered. 1 meter single bed. Table, chair, washbasin stand. Electric fan, kettle and clock on the table. Crude environment, but at least I had a place. If I were in the dorms, I'd have to climb walls just to get online. Checked the time, 8:20. Internet cafe didn't start overnight sessions until 10. 10-minute walk from here, so I'd leave at 9:40. Had an hour to kill. Lay on the bed and closed my eyes. Time crawled. 9:45 came and I got moving. Left the courtyard, but didn't head straight to the cafe. Stopped at the potato slice sandwich stand across the street, grabbed one, plus a bottle of iced black tea. Anyone who's pulled an all-nighter knows by 1 or 2 a.m. that specific hunger hits. Different from daytime hunger. Way worse. Especially when someone nearby makes instant noodles and the aroma drifts right to your nose. At that point, anything edible feels like gourmet food. So you always stock up. Instant noodles would be ideal, but the cafes were overpriced and my budget was tight. Potato slice sandwich it was. Didn't lose texture when cold, pretty filling. 1 was enough for my appetite, so I'd save it for the midnight hunger pangs. I was 18 but had been a picky eater since childhood. Ate irregularly in high school, so I was thin and only 173 centimeters. In my past life, I grew a few more in college, hit 176. By later standards, anything under 1.8 meters was basically 3rd grade disabled. I was self-conscious about it. Face wasn't bad. Decent brows, fair skin, no major flaws. Just too short, too thin, no presence. If I could grow taller and hit the gym, I'd count as handsome. Maybe the wealth store would refresh with height-boosting items someday. 10 minutes later, I was at the internet cafe. Hongshalan Internet Cafe. 5 characters on the sign. I came here almost every week for all-nighters in my previous life senior year. Seeing that familiar sign hit different. A few students in uniform were squatting outside, smoking, one tapping away on a keypad phone with a tiny screen. Pushed open the glass door, heat wave. Mixed with cigarette smoke, instant noodles, sweat, and some unidentifiable funk. The distinct smell of a 2009 county town internet cafe. A decade later, these places basically all became fancy with showers and billiards and pretty girls to game with. But 10 to 20 yuan an hour, totally unaffordable. Front desk girl was around 20, decent face, 0 figure. Handed over my ID and a 10 yuan bill for an overnight session. She didn't even look up. Back then logging in was easy, no cameras, just an ID. Didn't even need yours if you looked old enough. Got my slip with account and password. Found a seat, booted up. Login screen popped, entered the credentials. Desktop loaded and I checked the game list out of habit. Crossfire, QQ Speed, Dungeon and Fighter. I only knew Crossfire, didn't play it much. Back then I liked this racing game called QQ Sonic, super niche, barely any players. Played it for years while the player base kept shrinking. College roommates got me into League of Legends and I was hooked for over a decade. But now, living a second life, I had 0 interest in games. Closed the list. Time to work. Opened the browser. Searched for Chidian Chinese website. The platform to upload to, no question. In 2009 Fanxia didn't exist yet. Chidian was king. Took 10 minutes to register and verify my author identity. Pen name. I went with pen name to match my actual name. Simple. Created a new Word document, named it High Martial Era. No writer's assistant back then, no Tsinghua software either. That wouldn't launch until around 2020. Just word. 10:30 p.m. I steadied myself and started typing. Content was all in my head, so I flew. After an hour, 7,500 words. Honestly, having the content memorized made writing satisfying. Nothing like my previous life where writer's block meant pulling my hair out. 15,000 words done, and it was past midnight. Remembered the wealth store should have refreshed. Opened it up, different items, mostly white-grade junk I could buy in real life. Energy potion from yesterday was still there. But then I spotted it. A blue item in the bottom right corner. High school Chinese mastery. My breathing went crazy. In my previous life, I only got into a junior college. Spent those years doing nothing but gaming and sleeping. No activities, no dating. University life basically passed me by. Reborn, I obviously wanted to try for a good university. But with my current knowledge, I probably couldn't even get into a junior college. The store actually had subject mastery items. If Chinese was there, then math, physics, biology, chemistry should be too. Gather all 6 subjects and a 985 university was probably doable. Checked the price, 50,000 wealth points. I stared. Counted again. Not 5 zeros, 4. Just 50,000. That price shocked me. Not too expensive, too cheap. 50,000 per subject. 300,000 for all 6. Trading 300K for a 985 spot? Most people would sell everything for that chance. I had 8 months until the college entrance exam. Nearly 240 days. Should be doable if the items refreshed regularly. Closed the store, went back to writing. Hunger hit hard. Good thing I brought the sandwich. Opened the bag, spicy fragrant aroma. Took a huge bite, pure satisfaction. Twisted open the iced black tea. Deep gulp. Not cold anymore but still hit the spot. Ate my fill, rested 10 minutes, kept going. Secluded row, nobody around. By 5 a.m. I'd hit 50,000 words. Couldn't copy anymore, eyelids drooping. Saved the document, emailed it to myself for backup. No Baidu net disk yet. Planned to build up a backlog before uploading since I couldn't guarantee daily writing time with school. Everything settled. I could barely keep my eyes open. Left the cafe, went straight to my room. Head hit the pillow and I was out. Some unknown time later, piercing alarm clock. Struggled open, 7:05 a.m. Slept over an hour. Morning self-study started at 7:20, still time. 5 minutes to brush teeth and wash face. Then headed to school. Got to class, almost everyone was there. Sat down, bell rang. Sparse reading sounds filled the room, getting louder and more chaotic. Sleep deprived. My eyelids started drooping the second I sat down. Couldn't fight it. Whatever. I'm sleeping, I muttered. Slumped on the desk. Skipped morning exercises, remembered I used to do that senior year with no consequences. Jiang Chun asked if I pulled an all-nighter. Muffled MHM into my arms. Don't know how long later. Someone shaking me. Opened my eyes, Jiang Chun. Teacher's calling you, he whispered. Looked toward the blackboard. Middle-aged guy, 30s, serious expression. Teacher Zhou, homeroom teacher, taught math. Stand up and listen to the lecture. Whole class turned to look at me. Stood up, helpless. In my previous life senior year, pulling all-nighters and sleeping through days, I got called out constantly. Didn't expect rebirth wouldn't save me from that fate. Just an ordinary student, naturally suppressed by teacher authority. Could only endure it. Created a new Word document, named it High Martial Era. No writer's assistant in 2009, no Tsinghua software. That wouldn't exist until 2020. Just plain old Word. Checked the time. 10:30 p.m. Steadied my mind and started tapping away. Content was all in my head, so I wrote fast. After an hour, 7,500 words. Honestly, having everything memorized made writing satisfying. Nothing like my previous life where writer's block meant pulling my hair out. 15,000 words done, and it was past midnight. Remembered the wealth store should have refreshed by now. Opened it up, different items, mostly white-grade junk I could buy in real life. Zero purchase value. Yesterday's energy potion was still there. But then I spotted it. A blue item in the bottom right corner. High school Chinese mastery. My breathing went crazy. In my previous life, I only got into a junior college. Spent those years doing nothing but gaming and sleeping through classes. No activities, no dating, university life basically passed me by. Reborn, I obviously wanted to try for a good university. But with my current knowledge, I probably couldn't even get into a junior college, let alone anything decent. The store actually had subject mastery items. If Chinese was there, then math, physics, biology, chemistry should be too. Gather all 6 subjects and a 985 university was probably doable. Checked the price, 50,000 wealth points. I stared, counted again. Not 5 zeros, 4. Just 50,000. That price shocked me. Not too expensive, too cheap. 50,000 per subject. 300,000 for all 6. Trading 300K for a 985 spot? Most people would sell everything they owned for that chance. I had 8 months until the college entrance exam. Nearly 240 days. Should be doable if items refreshed regularly. Closed the store, went back to writing. Hunger hit hard. Good thing I brought the potato slice sandwich. Opened the bag, spicy fragrant aroma. Took a huge bite, pure satisfaction. Twisted open the iced black tea. Deep gulp. Not cold anymore but still hit the spot. Ate my fill, rested 10 minutes, kept going. Secluded row at the cafe. Nobody around to disturb me. By 5 a.m. I'd hit 50,000 words. Couldn't copy anymore. Eyelids drooping uncontrollably. Saved the document, emailed it to myself for backup. No Baidu Net disk yet, so email was the only cloud storage option. Planned to build up a backlog before uploading since I couldn't guarantee daily writing time with school. Everything settled. I could barely keep my eyes open. Left the cafe, went straight to my room. Head hit the pillow and I was out. Some unknown time later, piercing alarm clock. Struggled to open my eyes. 7:05 a.m. Slept over an hour. Morning self-study started at 7:20, still time. 5 minutes to brush teeth and wash face. Then headed to school. Got to class, almost everyone was there. Sat down, bell rang. Reading sounds filled the room, getting louder and more chaotic. Sleep deprived. My eyelids started drooping the second I sat down. Couldn't fight it. Whatever. I'm sleeping, I muttered. Slumped on the desk. Skipped morning exercises, remembered I used to do that senior year with no real consequences. Jiang Chun asked if I pulled an all-nighter. Muffled MHM into my arms. Don't know how long later. Someone shaking me. Opened my eyes, Jiang Chun. Teacher's calling you, he whispered. Looked toward the blackboard. Middle-aged guy, 30s, serious expression. Teacher Zhou, homeroom teacher, taught math. Stand up and listen to the lecture. Whole class turned to look at me. Stood up, helpless. In my previous life senior year, pulling all-nighters and sleeping through days, I got called out constantly. Didn't expect rebirth wouldn't save me from that fate. Just an ordinary student, naturally suppressed by teacher authority. Could only endure it for now. Jiang Chun couldn't contain himself. You really spent the whole night at the internet cafe? I nodded. Holy crap, why didn't you call me? He lived in town, parents were strict. Figured he couldn't sneak out. He chuckled. Parents aren't home these 2 days. Told him I was going again tonight. His face lit up. Definitely. Then Teacher Zhou's voice from the podium. Jiang Chun, you stand and listen too. Smile froze on his face. Stood up dejectedly. Chair scraping the floor. We looked at each other and chuckled. Class ended, could sit again. For the rest of the day, I sprawled across my desk every chance. Last row, hallmark of a poor student, so other teachers mostly ignored me. By 3 p.m., I felt fully recovered, whole person refreshed again. Good to be young. In my previous life, before 30, an all-nighter took a whole day to recover from. After 30, couldn't even handle staying up past midnight. If I did, I'd sleep till noon and still wake up aching. Back in my 18-year-old body felt like a heavy stone had been cast off. Whole body felt clear and transparent. 8 p.m., evening self-study bell, we bolted out. Which internet cafe? Mangrove or Leap? Mangrove was closer. Got there, opened temporary sessions, waited for the 10 p.m. all-nighter rate. Jiang Chen gestured at Crossfire. Wanna play? Shook my head, opened Word and started typing. He looked surprised. Writing a novel? Yeah, writing for fun. What made you think of that? Heard it can make money. That got his interest. How much? Hard to say. Some earn 1 or 2,000, others can't make a few dozen. He lost interest immediately, only cared about games. Before long I could hear him greeting his teammates' families. Amidst the noise I kept typing. By the time the all-nighter ended, I'd finished my 50,000 words. Second consecutive all-nighter, energy wasn't as good. Took longer. Stepped outside. Morning breeze hit and we both shivered. After every all-night session, always that freezing feeling. Back in class, slumped on desk and slept. Bell woke me, students leaving for lunch. Jiang Chen still sleeping soundly. Tried to stand but my body was a beat behind. Moved my right leg and this indescribable sensation surged from thigh to toes. Like my leg had vanished or was filled with lead. Shit! I cursed, gripping the desk, gritting my teeth. Waited till the numb, painful feeling faded. Then tentatively straightened and curled the leg twice. Checked Jiang Chen's watch 12:02. Slept till noon. No teacher bothered us. Class 8 was ranked near the bottom, our grades at the very bottom. Teachers had basically given up. Fine by me. Needed to sleep during the day since I spent nights at the cafe. Even after 2 or 3 days since rebirth, still hadn't remembered most classmates' names. Starving after sleeping all morning. Shook Jiang Chen awake. Wanna go eat? You go ahead. I'll sleep more. Out before he finished the sentence. Went to the cafeteria alone. After eating, no rush to go back. Weather was great, early autumn sun warm on my back. Walked lazily, ended up at the school playground. Sat on the stands, watched kids running around. Some playing soccer, shouting. Others walking the track, girls' ponytails swaying. Before my rebirth, I'd visited once and felt nothing but envy. Envied their youth, their time, that vitality to laugh without a reason. But now I looked at my hands, then up at the playground. Same sunlight, same stands. This time that empty feeling was gone. That faint alienation had vanished. I smiled. Nothing to be envious of anymore. I was one of them now. It's good to be young. Was immersed in my thoughts when a crisp voice called my name. Turned girl in a school uniform, book in her arms. Clean, beautiful look. Single ponytail, smooth forehead. Perfect natural eyebrows, small delicate lips. By later standards, total white moonlight type. Figure just right, healthy. Felt an inexplicable familiarity. Memories scrolled through my head. Finally matched the face. Lin Shi, classmate from first and second years. Our grades were neck and neck for a while in second year, so we were assigned as desk mates for nearly half a semester. Had a deep impression of her. She was beautiful. All the boys liked her, me included. I kept finding excuses to talk to her. Borrowing pens, asking about homework. She never found it annoying, answered every question. Shared snacks sometimes. Then classes got reshuffled for third year. Lost contact, eventually lost her info entirely. Didn't expect to run into her so soon after rebirth. Lin Shi, I greeted. She tilted her head, eyes curving into crescents. Yo, you still remember my name? Knew she was joking, but I truly just recalled it. We were desk mates. How could I forget? She sat down in front of me. What are you doing here? Soaking up the sun. Looked back at her. You, raised her book. Reading for a bit. That's a novel, isn't it? Aren't you afraid it'll affect your grades? Just during break time. Won't affect them much. Raised her hand to block the sun. Dazzlingly white, long slender fingers. She squinted around. Too sunny. I'm going to that shady spot. Want to come? Glanced where she pointed. No, heading back to class. She stood, patted dust off her uniform. Bye-bye. Watched her walk away, then headed back myself. Had a crush on her in my previous life, but now I had no other intentions. Primary task was writing novels and gaining wealth points. Plus, I knew she didn't feel that way. Just normal friends. Last afternoon class bell rang. Friday going home. Wangjia village, 20 kilometers from the county town. Walked half an hour to the bus station. Small place, packed with buses to various towns. Looked lively now, but in less than 10 years it'd be desolate. Villages emptying as people moved to cities. Found the bus to Kong Township, which passed through my village. Boarded, handed over my last 10 yuan. Got 4 back in change. Bus jolted along. I closed my eyes. Some time later, suddenly awake. Vehicle stopped. Passenger boarding. Thought I'd missed my stop. Rural buses had no fixed stops. Looked around, we were in a town. Relieved. Only 3 or 4 kilometers from home now. 10 minutes later the bus pulled over and I stepped off. Walked along a small path. A plump young woman picking vegetables at an intersection saw me. Xiao Fan? Home for the holidays? Yeah, Sister Hui. Son Hui, from the same village. Over a decade later I'd still see her. Hair short, figure bloated, face sagged. Not like now in her 20s, at her most charming. Actually the village was the same, in the prime of its beauty right now. In a decade it had become sparsely populated, only lively during Lunar New Year. Remembered a phrase from online. Didn't think much of it then, but later I'd remember it every time I returned. As cities rise, 10,000 villages empty. Where are the childhood playmates now? All in the city, paying off their mortgages. Pulled my thoughts together and kept walking home. Less than 5 minutes later, saw the familiar big red gate. Stood there hesitating, didn't dare push it open. Calmed myself, slowly entered. Door creaked. Familiar figure came out of the kitchen. My mom, Wang Mei. Blue floral apron. Wiping wet hands on it. At 43 her hair was still black. Not like 10+ years later when her temples would be white and no dye could cover it. Seeing her young again. Surge of emotion. Couldn't find words. Xiao Fan is back, she said. Mom. Tried to keep my tone calm. What are you doing at the door? Come in, food's almost ready. Nodded, stepped in, then stopped. Where's Dad? Doing some work. Should be back soon. Dad was Chun Jianjun, electrician and plumber. Installed water and electricity for new houses. Income was decent. In a few years when construction slowed, he'd move to the county seat, find a hotel property management job, work till retirement. But since I'd been reborn, definitely wasn't letting him continue that. Physical labor for hard-earned money, not happening. Once I made cash, I'd have him switch to something easier or open a small store. Door pushed open. Figure less than 1.7 meters walked in carrying a tool bag. Dad stepped forward, naturally took the bag from his hand. Flash of surprise in his eyes. My son has grown up. Gave a silly grin. In my past life I'd been pampered since childhood. Never suffered hardships. First time I'd ever taken his bag. No wonder he was surprised. Dinner's ready. Wash your hands. Mom's voice from the kitchen. Coming. That was me. Coming, stop rushing us. That was Dad. Mom made hand-pulled noodles. Simple home cooking, but with my Northwest palate I loved it. Meal nearly done. Looked at Dad. Going to town tomorrow with classmates. Can you give me 20 yuan? No computer at home. Needed the internet cafe to write. Only had 4 yuan left. Before Mom could speak, Dad pulled out a 50 yuan note. Son, don't be stingy out there. Buy whatever you want. Just give him 20. Why 50? Mom spoke up. Quickly grabbed the 50. Thanks, Dad. Mom glared but didn't say more. After taking the money, leaned back on the sofa, squinting like resting. Actually checking the system. The moment I took that 50 yuan, notification sounded. Wealth points plus 50. Didn't expect money from parents would count as income. Opened the wealth store. Still mostly worthless items. Energy potion hadn't refreshed. Instead 2 new products. High school biology mastery 50,000 points. Memory enhancement 20,000 points. Both great but couldn't afford either. Exited with regret. Next day, finished breakfast, said goodbye, took the bus to town. 2 yuan, 10 minutes. Got to the internet cafe, scanned the room, not packed, had empty machines. Lucky for a weekend. Set up a machine but didn't rush to type. Planned to upload the novel first. Saved drafts were sufficient. Open Chidian. Logged in, went to Writer's Center. Created the work. High Martial Era, author pen name. Uploaded 10 chapters at once. Each nearly 3,000 words, totaling about 30,000. Remaining drafts nearly 70,000. Upload done, just had to wait for review. Passing review was easy in this era, nearly instant. Hard part was getting a contract, usually at 100,000 words. Didn't doubt I'd get one. Given High Martial Era's quality, estimated I could sign at 50 or 60,000. After uploading, kept typing. Paid for 6 hours at 2 yuan per hour. When time up notification sounded, I'd finished 40,000 words. Didn't plan to keep writing. Going back late would worry parents. Once first manuscript payment came in, definitely had to buy a computer. Next afternoon, under mom's send-off, boarded bus to county seat. Arrived at 7 p.m. Dropped things at my room, went straight to Hongshalan Internet Cafe. Set up machine, first checked my work data. Already passed review. Collection count, over 400. Stared at that number for 2 seconds, mouth curling up. Second day of new book, over 400 collections, for a complete. Newcomer, that was brilliant. Updates were aggressive, threw out 10 chapters right away. Novel quality solid, fresh setting, tight pace. With those advantages, hard not to become popular. Leaned back, gazing at the collection count. Opened the comments section, already over a dozen comments. What genre is this? What does high martial arts mean? Good read following. One comment upvoted to the top by Bookworm Old Zhang. Read 5 chapters and still can't figure out the genre. Feels like Xuanhuan but modern city. Feels like urban but there's a martial arts college exam. Regardless, it's great. Keep it up. Don't drop it. Clicked reply, thought for a moment. Don't worry, I won't drop it. Posted, closed comments, opened author backend. Uploaded 10 more chapters. Novel word count hit nearly 60,000. Plan to upload 10,000 words daily from now on. On Chidian, keeping free chapters longer helped retain readers after going premium. Once monetized, I'd switch to 30,000 a day. After uploading, opened Word and kept typing.
5 Uhr morgens.
Checked daily word count, 50,131. Goal reached, totally exhausted. Saved, logged off, left. After pulling an all-nighter and resting during classes next day, energy recovered. Evening, went to cafe as usual. Started machine, logged into QQ. Friend request popped up. Chidian editor Xinghe. Stunned, then accepted. Message arrived instantly. Hello, pen name. I am Xinghe, a Chidian editor. Your work has met our contract standards. We contacted you through backend, but you didn't reply. If you're free, we can discuss contract. Froze. Remembered something, quickly checked backend messages. Sure enough, message about signing, QQ number matched Xinghe's. Surprised it was past 8 p.m. and he was still responding. Replied, sorry, haven't been checking backend. I can sign now. Xinghe gave brief overview. Work met standards. He'd send contract. Asked if original work. Confirmed. Asked about update schedule. Responded, expect around 3 million words. Guaranteed daily 10,000. Pause on other end. 10,000. Yes. Solid update volume. I'll send contract. Fill in personal info, real name and ID number exactly as on your ID. Print it. Sign by hand. Mail to this address. Sent Shanghai address. Contract department. Chidian, Pudong New Area. Contract in duplicate. Mail both after filling out. Will stamp and send one back. Looked at the Word document. Everything so inconvenient, no electronic contracts. Had to adapt. Would find time to print and mail tomorrow. Finalized details, uploaded 10 more chapters, cracked knuckles, kept typing. Next 2 days, steady routine, typing all night, sleeping during day. Daily word count dropped from 50,000 to 40,000. Consecutive all-nighters taking a toll. Made me want an energy potion even more. Updates never faltered, 3 chapters daily. Steady as rock. After 2 days, Total uploaded exceeded 50,000. Early next morning, didn't go to class. Endured sleepiness, went to teacher Zhou's office. Needed leave of absence. Door ajar, rustling paper inside. Knocked. Come in. Teacher Zhou at his desk with math book. Looked up, surprised. Chen Fan? What is it? I'd like a leave of absence. Put down pen, leaned back. For what reason? Not feeling well. Dizzy. Keep feeling nauseous. Deliberately acted weak. Combined with pale complexion from all-nighters. Looked convincing. Eyes lingered on my face. Then pulled out leave form. Right reason clearly. Knew it would be granted. Filled it out, handed back. He signed, handed it to me. If serious, go to hospital. I will, teacher. Left school, found print shop, spent 6 yuan printing contract. Filled details, double-checked, hurried to postal branch. These days, mailing meant post office. Young woman in uniform at counter. I'd like to mail something. Looked up. Document or package? Document. A contract. Showed envelope. She pulled out large manila envelope. Put it in here. Folded contract, tucked inside. Regular or EMS Express? How much for each? Regular registered letter over 3 yuan, 4 or 5 days. EMS faster, about 2 days, but 20 yuan. Thought about it, arriving early safer. Went with Express. Dad gave me 50 last Saturday, only spent 10, had over 30 extra, enough. For the 20. She took money, pulled out blue EMS form. Fill this out. Be detailed with addresses. Filled it out, double-checked, handed back. She typed into computer, tore barcode, stuck it on envelope, stamped it, tore off receipt. Keep tracking number. Should arrive within 3 days. Took receipt, string of numbers. Folded into pocket. Left post office, went straight back to rented apartment. Got to small room past 10 a.m. Couldn't hold on, collapsed on bed. When I woke, past 6 p.m. Hadn't eaten all day, stomach growling. Quick brush of teeth and wash of face. Felt refreshed after nearly 8 hours solid sleep. Young body's really resilient. Went to nearby rice bowl place. Ordered green pepper and pork bowl. Enjoyed meal. After eating, headed to Mangrove Internet Cafe. Set up machine, sent tracking number to editor Xinghe. He immediately replied, received. Logged into Chidian author backend, uploaded 3 chapters, then started writing grind. Typed efficiently, fingers almost constantly on keyboard. Around 3 a.m., stretched sore neck. Checked word count, 50,127. Goal achieved. Saved via email, logged off. Walking out at 3 a.m., streets quiet. Autumn wind blew, I shivered. Zipped up jacket, headed to room. In previous life, I'd walk out of internet cafes late feeling empty. Like life had no meaning. Same environment now, but felt full of hope. Next night, got to cafe, turned on computer, opened Writer Center to check data. Stepped inside and froze. Favorites, 10,831. Rubbed eyes, looked again. Still 10,831. 80,000 words uploaded. Over 10,000 favorites. Stared at screen, mind blank. I'd written books in past life and knew what this meant. Not just good. Explosive. Deep breath, looked down. Clicks, 83,000. Recommendation votes, 32,412. Comment section, when I checked before only dozen comments, now over 800. Open newcomer list. Category new book ranking number 3. Overall new book ranking 9th. Very happy beyond expectations. Based on these numbers, first day sales after going premium would definitely not be low. October now. Plan to release at 300,000 words, around 10th of next month. Before I knew it, November 5th. Over 10 days hard work, total word count hit 800,000. Only 240,000 uploaded, about 500,000 in draft. At current update rate, drafts would last over 50 days. With so many saved, plan to release 50 chapters at once when book went premium, around 150,000 words. Then switch to 30,000 daily. Novel performing incredibly well. As of yesterday, 33,000 favorites, 75,000 recommendation votes, already topped newcomer rankings. Though not officially released yet, already generated revenue. Over dozen alliance masters and dozens of guild masters donated. The current pace should go premium around 12th. But had another important thing, monthly exam. Honestly, after Rebirth I'd completely forgotten about monthly exams. Teacher Zhou mentioned it last week and it came back. Based on this point in previous life should have scored over 370. But now, hard to guarantee. Whatever. Wouldn't affect me much. Parents already gave up on my grades. First exam at noon was Chinese. Felt pretty confident. Could still remember some poems from textbook. Unlike other subjects I'd completely forgotten. In previous life essays only scored 20 or 30. Now estimated I could easily get 40 or 50. Finished Chinese exam, roughly estimated around 90. Second subject was English, even simpler, 80% multiple choice. Finished in less than 10 minutes. Last biology exam over Friday. Class erupted into chaos when exam ended. High-scoring students huddled to compare answers. Others packed up immediately. I was one of them. Chen Fan, what score do you expect? Jiang Chen asked. Who cares? I'll just be last place anyway. I said. You're awesome. Thumbs up. All right, leaving. See you Monday. Packed up, walked out without looking back. Holiday lasted 2 days. Spent few hours in town each day, only had time to update 30,000 words. Holiday passed quickly. Monday arrived. Monthly exam results announced during first period. Chinese class. Before bell, teacher Sun walked in with stack of test papers. Gaze swept classroom, then spoke slowly. Our class's results were very poor. Average score is 8th in grade, 3 places lower than last time. Smiled inwardly. Out of 10 classes in senior year we ranked 8th. Always hovered in middle, but this time dropped to bottom. She started reading grades. Li Xinxin 118. Short girl in front row stood up, class representative for Chinese. But our class was ordinary. 118 was top score. Far behind experimental class. Zhang Kong 113. After several names, teacher Sun paused, then spoke. Chun Fan 93 points. Heard my name, calmly stepped forward. About to take paper when she added, You've made great progress. Keep it up. Okay, replied casually, turned back to seat. Jiang Chen lightly punched me. Not bad, over 90 this time. Got lucky. Picked up paper. Sure enough, essay score very high, 49 points. Not surprised. Over decade of life experience plus millions of words of novel writing in previous life. Essays pretty easy now. After Chinese, other subject scores came out over next few days. My results: Chinese 93, English 67, Math 45, Science 108. Total, 313. Surprised I scored nearly 70 on English even though I'd randomly guessed most. Good luck. Honestly, quite satisfied. Hadn't dropped too much. Monthly exam results out. It was Tuesday, November 10th. Novel reached approximately 300,000 words. With 300,000 free words and huge pre-release buzz. Ready to publish. Editor Xinghe suggested 250,000 would be enough, but I insisted on 300,000. Set release date for tomorrow. Before going live, needed to consider release statement. I'd read at least 80 launch announcements in past life. Knew the formula. Play victim crying about hardships. Thank editors and readers. Promise extra chapters. But thinking about it, I had nothing to sympathize with. Results: 33,000 favorites. 75,000 recommendations. Topped new author list for days. Manuscript stockpile? 530,000 words. What was so tragic? Open typing software. Fingers on keyboard. Thought 3 seconds. Then typed. Author's note on launch. A 100-chapter update will be released tomorrow. Posted, closed page, went back to typing. Had no idea how much stir those words would cause. Long Kong forum exploded. Just saw this. Author of Chidian's new book High Martial Era said he'll release 100 chapters. 100 chapters? At 3,000 words each, that's 300,000 words. A day? Are you kidding? Bet 5 cents it's clickbait. In my books review section, if 100 chapters released immediately, I'll eat my keyboard. I replied, if I really release 100 chapters, I'll give you 10 alliance masters as reward. 10 alliance leaders? That's 10,000 yuan. Various author groups discussing my post, but I was too lazy to join any groups. Once I actually updated 100 chapters, everything would be settled. Next day during lunch break, went to Mangrove Internet Cafe. Logged into QQ, message from Xinghe popped up. Your launch message? 100 chapters. Seriously? How many drafts do you have? Enough for 100 chapters. Closed chat, open Chidian author backend, took deep breath, began uploading VIP chapters. Soon, 100 chapters totaling 300,000 words uploaded directly. Stretched aching fingers, leaned back, stared at upload history. 5 minutes later, book review section completely exploded. Really 100 chapters? Let me count. Really 100. Then donation notifications started flooding in. User Moon Lonely City donated 100,000 Chidian coins. Again. User Little Fairy donated 100,000 Chidian coins. Again and again. Noticed all those donation messages. Pretty excited with this many tips, income going to explode next month. Checked initial order data still rising steadily. Leaned back, stared at screen long time, then closed page. Watching wouldn't help. Initial subscription figures wouldn't finalize until noon tomorrow. 24 hours passed quickly. Got to Mangrove Internet Cafe. Couldn't wait to open author backend and check first day sales. First day subscriptions, 18,847. Stared at number without blinking. Broke 10,000. Not just broke it, almost 20,000. In 2009, this was pinnacle. Updating 100 chapters in a row definitely contributed. New QQ message, editor Xinghe. Congratulations. Surpassed 10,000. Pity you just missed 20,000. It's great, quite satisfied. Should I post news that initial orders close to 20,000 on forum to promote? Stunned. Nearly 20,000? Wasn't I still short by over 1,000? But I understood, compared to just over 10,000, nearly 20,000 was way more attractive for promotion. Once posted, tens of thousands would see it. Plus word of mouth. Exceeding 10,000 first subscriptions was best advertisement. Agreed almost without hesitation. After chatting with Xinghe, checked donations again. 32 new alliance leaders, over 200 new guild masters, including 18 from free period, now had 60 alliance leaders. These days Chidian didn't have silver or gold alliance yet, so alliance leader was highest tier. Donations alone amounted to nearly 80,000 yuan. I'd get half, over 40,000. After turning off tipping feature, started uploading today's chapters. 10 chapters, 30,000 words. Then remembered, today was 12th, last month's royalties should have been paid. Though work still free last month, received donations from 11 alliance masters and dozens of guild masters, totaling over 16,000 yuan. I'd receive over 8,000. System notification sounded. Wealth points plus 8,132. Eyes lit up. That was manuscript payment. Since system notified me, money must have been credited. But still needed to go to bank. Wouldn't feel at ease until I saw balance myself. Only 30 minutes before afternoon first class. Nearest China construction bank over 20 minutes away. Round trip at least 40 minutes, would definitely be late. Had to skip first class. So be it. With my grades basically abandoned anyway. Walked over 20 minutes. Found bank at corner. Got to ATM, excitedly pulled out card. Inserted it. Tapped through screen. Entered password. Balance popped up. Available balance. 8,132 yuan. Breathed sigh of relief. Finally made money. Reborn for almost month, earned over 8,000. That was really tough. Hit withdraw, entered 2,000. Machine hummed. Spat out stack of banknotes. Counted, exactly 20 bills. Folded money, stuffed in pocket. Took out card, turned to leave. Planned to buy cell phone today with 2,000. Really wasn't used to not having one. Only question was feature phone or smartphone. Right now, only real smartphone was iPhone 3GS. Other brands like Samsung, Sony, HTC still use Symbian, not smartphones in my book. In previous life, I used Huawei, loyal user from Mate 30 to Mate 80. But in this era, Huawei phones were unusable. Had to go iPhone. But not 3GS. Only supported China Unicom 3G and China Mobile 2G. Price too high and funds not sufficient. Target was iPhone 4 next year. By then I'd have millions. For now, feature phone. Only one option, king of that era, Nokia. Didn't know much about models from that time. First phone in previous life was cheap no-name brand in college. Would check online later, as long as it could make calls, check time, send texts, chat on QQ, that was enough. 30 minutes later stood at classroom door.
Chemistry teçerli bin lekturin.
Young guy, not particularly authoritative. Never scolded students for talking. Sometimes he'd interrupt his own lecture to talk about international affairs. Start with oil prices, veer to Middle East, then somehow circle back to chemical reaction rates. Report, I said at door.
Li bin turnet.
What you been doing? Principal Chun asked me to move something. Had reason ready, no teacher would verify. All right, go in. Back in seat. Jiang Chun leaned closer. What did you help move? Move my ass. Move hammer. Jiang Chun realized. You were lying? I remained silent. Holy crap. Fanji, you brought up principal's name. You can try next time. I wouldn't dare. I understood, their thinking still that of students. Teachers above them. But I was reborn. In my eyes, everyone equal. Sitting in seat. Felt bored. Since I hadn't worked all night, I was energetic. Oh right, I now had over 8,000 wealth points. Checked if wealth shop had refreshed. During this period I'd open it daily. Most times it showed items I wanted. Mastering high school subjects worth 50,000 points. In 2 weeks I'd seen 2 math masteries, 1 biology, 1 English. Other things popped up too. Gifted fitness body, master of culinary skills. Every refresh I was thrilled, but short on money. Opened wealth shop. First thing was stamina potion, 1,000 points. Quite appealing. Although I didn't need to stay up every day, occasionally doing it was unpleasant, and energy potion helped me recover. As I shifted gaze, I froze. Secondary skeletal development. 500,000 wealth points. My eyelids twitched. Clicked details. Skeleton enters second developmental period, lasting 2 months. Height can break genetic limitations. Bone density increases. Proportions optimized. I froze. Height was sore point. In previous life, I only grew to 1.76 meters. Not short, but envious of those over 1.8 meters. After rebirth, I believed system would solve my height problem. Didn't expect hope so soon. But seeing price, excitement subsided. 500,000 points, too much right now. And even when I could afford it, might not find it quickly. Seems I'd wait few months. Only few months which I could afford. After all, I'd lived over 30 years. Although I couldn't afford secondary bone development, I wasn't going empty-handed. Energy potion cost 1,000 points, which I could afford. Would buy one. As soon as I purchased, energy potion turned gray. I wondered if purchased items would reappear. I guessed energy potion was consumable, so probability of appearing should be high. Medicine was stored in system, I could retrieve it anytime. System is user-friendly. I gave it mental thumbs up. After logging out, I didn't know what to do. Couldn't sleep, couldn't concentrate. Bored, I observed classmates. Although reborn almost month, I was busy writing at night, sleeping during day, so memories of classmates were from previous life. After looking around, I was disappointed. Over 50 people, nearly 20 girls, but no class beauty. Most attractive was just pleasing to eye. I thought of Lin Shi. From my later perspective, she'd be class beauty or school beauty. Pity she wasn't in my class. Sure enough, novels claiming every class has beauty were lies. But it's normal, beautiful girls are minority. Rested chin on hand, gazed outside. Just endured until class ended, school over. Finally, bell rang for evening self-study. I rushed out. Half hour later, StarCraft Internet Cafe. Best environment in county with private rooms. I booked two-person room. Previously due to funds I went to mangrove forest enduring smoke and foot odor. With ample funding I chose StarCraft. Turned on machine, began typing. Having uploaded 300,000 words at once, I didn't have many drafts, about 400,000 words. Must continue writing. Opened Kugu Music, found J-Cho. Intro to Rice Fragrance began. My fingers tapped rhythmically. Following melody in headphones, I progressed chapter by chapter. With entire text in mind, all I needed was to move my hands. Felt wonderful. Time passed. I was immersed in my rhythm. At 4 in morning, knocking finally slowed. I stretched stiff neck, glanced at screen. Word count, 50,123. Finally, I could try energy potion. I communicated with system to retrieve it. Notification sounded. Retrieve from unobservable location. I was stunned, then saw surveillance camera in upper right. Thank goodness system warned me. If it hadn't warned and I'd taken it out on camera, I'd be arrested tomorrow. I stood, stretched legs, walked to restroom, went into cubicle, locked door. Surely safe here. I communicated again. This time no prompts. Small blue bottle appeared in my hand, size of little finger. I stared at it. Is such small bottle effective? I twisted open lid. Faint refreshing fragrance wafted out. Like mint. Like morning dew with fresh grass. One whiff cleared my drowsy mind. Without hesitation, I tilted head back and gulped. As liquid disappeared, bottle vanished too. I was delighted, system was great. No need to worry about bottle being discovered. Just then, I felt refreshing stream flow through limbs and bones, instantly making me refreshed, like first sip of water after being thirsty, like breeze in stuffy classroom. My whole being came back to life. I paused, stretched neck. Not sour anymore. I clenched fist. Fingers stopped shaking. Swelling disappeared. I stared at myself in mirror. My eyes, I'd stayed up, bloodshot like rabbits. But now whites were clean, black and white distinct, clear as if I'd slept 12 hours. I leaned closer. Really gone. I blinked twice. All bloodshot gone, even eye bags faded. I washed face, left restroom. Back in seat, glanced at time, 4:35 a.m. In past I'd be asleep. But now I was energetic as 8 in morning, and thought popped up. Write another 20,000? Without hesitation, fingers continued tapping. At 6:30 I stretched neck. Word count, 70,234. 70,000. Adding previous 50,000, I'd written 70,000 today. I flexed fingers, clenched fist. Not sour, not swollen, not trembling. I stood and jumped. Body felt light, mind clear, eyes bright, as if I'd slept 8 hours. I typed all night, didn't feel tired. I laughed out loud. This energy potion was amazing. I wondered if there'd be energy potions after shop refreshes. I opened store. No, stamina potion didn't appear, but items I wanted did. Mastering high school physics. Mastering high school biology. These two came together. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford them. 2 days passed. Around 10 a.m. Sunday, after breakfast, I prepared to go to county. Normally we'd go afternoon, but today I went early with parents to buy phone and get SIM. Hour and a half later I arrived at largest mall. Brand name phone counters on first floor. I found Nokia counter. Woman in 30s sat there, cracking sunflower seeds. She glanced at me but made no move. I wasn't angry. With my student appearance, people assumed I was browsing, so normal they ignored me. When buying, they become enthusiastic. Seeing me looking at phones, woman stopped. Young man buying phone? I nodded. She pushed seeds aside, stood up, perfunctory smile turned enthusiastic. Changed so fast I was stunned. Which one? Let me introduce. I need phone that can make calls, send texts, access internet, available within 2 years. Her eyes lit up. She took out samples, placed them in front of me. This 6303C released in June. Stainless steel casing, 3.2 megapixel camera, can play music. She handed it to me. I took it, shook it, felt nice. Seeing I cared, she picked up another. This E63 has full keyboard. Typing super fast. Perfect for students. Can go online and send emails. I looked at Nokia E63. Unlike candy bar phones with 9 keys, this had full keyboard like miniature computer keyboard. When browsing internet, I'd done research and found E63 was suitable. How much is E63? I pointed to red demo. Woman's eyes lit up. Normal 1900. But discount, 1850. I sneered inwardly. I'd researched, new price around 1600. She thought I was clueless. 1600, if okay I'll buy. If not, I'll check others. She paused, smile froze. You're ruthless. Can't get goods for 1600. Eyes fixed on me. Hey, don't go. Reached out, tone softening. All right, 1600. Loss, making friends. I stopped, turned. She took new box, muttering, little rascal, good at bargaining. No money, just volume. Took out wallet, counted 1600 yuan bills. She took money, receipt book, scribbled, pushed box over. 1-year warranty. I opened box, confirmed new, took out phone. Put in bag, pushed box back. She pulled plastic bag, stuffed box, charger, manual handed to me. Turned on phone. Boot screen, Nokia logo. Turned to leave, her voice. Come back next time. Didn't turn, just waved. Chun fan. Before leaving mall, familiar voice. I turned. Old classmate Lin Shi. Not wearing uniform. Light pink jacket, hair down. Still beautiful. Next to her shorter girl, round face, ponytail, critical look. What coincidence. Lin Shi walked over. Gaze on phone. Eyes crinkling. Bought phone. Nodded. Yes. Chun fan, girl came over. Looking at face, realized old classmate, first and second years. Grades okay, but not good person. Thought superior, looked down on bad grades, picked on weak. Condescending attitude. When my grades dropped, she made sarcastic remarks. Was annoyed. Never expected to run into her. It's Zhou Yu, sister Yu, greeted reluctantly. Zhou Yu frowned. Who calling sister Yu? Pursed lips, silent. Couldn't be bothered. Oh, bought phone. Leaned closer. What model? Expensive. Not bad, 1600. Hearing this, pursed lips. Thought I was pretending. Then realized something wrong. Where did I get money? Remembered family from countryside. Rural families, how much earn? 1600 phone would take half year. Zhou Yu looked at me. Said sarcastically. Parents really spoil you. I looked up. What trying to say? Looked me up and down. Lowered voice. Chun fan. Tell me, did you steal this from home? I was stunned. Looking at her face. Felt like laughing. But didn't. Put phone on counter. Turned to her. Asked calmly. Where do you keep money? Taken aback. What? Tell me, where? Closet? Drawer? Under pillow? Open mouth. Couldn't say anything. I continued. Tell me, I'll go steal. Buy one for you too. Face flushed red. Lin Shi chuckled but suppressed. You? Glared. After pause managed. I was just worried. Thank you. Nodded, serious. But none of your business. Even if I rob bank, law punishes. Nothing to do with you. I'm leaving, you keep looking. Carried bag, walked to door. Reached door, heard Zhou Yu stomp foot. Mutter. Chun fan. Lin Shi's voice. Turned. Lin Shi jogged after me, embarrassed. Zhou Yu still standing, hands on hips, unhappy, didn't follow. What's wrong? I asked. Lin Shi ran up, took breath, looked up, hesitated. Nothing. Paused. Don't take to heart. That's how she is. I paused, smiled. Didn't take to heart. That's good. Nodded. By the way, how end up with her? Remembered they hadn't interacted much. Lin Shi looked helpless. Just ran into each other. She insisted dragging me to mall. You know, that's her personality. Really fine. Smiled. Lin Shi stared 2 seconds, then relaxed. Smiled. Then I'll go. Bye. Lin Shi waved. turned to walk to entrance. I stood there, watched her figure disappear into crowd, then turned gaze away. Then I turned around, walked out of mall. After leaving mall, I fiddled with new phone while walking, but quickly lost interest. Phones now were far inferior to smartphones in decade or two. No touchscreen, no app store, no WeChat, even decent browser laggy. Only things you could do were make calls, send texts, browse websites, but needed SIM first. Since phone had no SIM, I had to go to service center. I'd choose China Mobile, best signal. But where were service centers? No maps available. I thought, turned around, went back to mall. Got to service desk. Girl in uniform looking at phone. Hello? China Mobile store nearby? Girl looked up, said, walk straight to intersection, turn right, 5 or 6 minutes. China Mobile store there. Quite big. Thanks. I walked out. Following direction, I found mobile service center. Storefront wasn't small. Glass door covered with ads. M-Zone, Shenzhouxing, Global Pass. I pushed door, went in. Hall wasn't crowded, only 3 to 5 people queuing. Air conditioning on, warm, contrast to cold outside. Lobby manager approached. Hello? What service? Get card. New subscriber? Take number. Wait. I pressed button. Slip. 3 ahead. Found seat. Took out E63. Started fiddling. Checked calendar. Tested alarm. Adjusted brightness. After 10 minutes, my number called. Walked to window, sat down. Inside was young woman, blue uniform, hair tied. Hello, what service? Get SIM and join network. Okay. Bring ID? I handed in ID. Girl swiped on machine, typed rapidly. Looked up. Student. Want data plan? M-Zone for students, lots of texts, cheap internet. 10 yuan for 200 texts, 20 for 500. For internet, 5 yuan for 30 megabytes, 10 for 80 megabytes. I interrupted. Any more expensive? Girl paused. More expensive? Right? Girl glanced at sheet. Most expensive M-Zone is 68 yuan, 1000 texts, 500 megabytes data, 30 minutes talk. Next is Global Pass, 89, but not for students. This is it. Girl confirmed. The 68 one? Girl glanced at me, surprise. Probably hadn't seen student order most expensive. Didn't ask, began working. Prepaid 100 yuan, plus card fee 10, total 110. I handed 110 yuan. Girl counted, took SIM from drawer, pushed over with receipt. Sign. After I signed, handed SIM and ID. Use as soon as insert. Activation may take few minutes. Restart. I took card, walked to rest area. Turned off phone, opened back, inserted SIM, installed battery, turned on. Screen lit up, signal displayed. Checked time. 1:30 p.m. Checked lobby time, matched. Never imagined phones could connect and calibrate time these days. After leaving store, I didn't return to room, but went to Lenovo computer store in county. I planned to buy laptop. With computer, no longer needed internet cafes. After considering brands, I chose Lenovo. Although Lianxiang did wrong, high price for low config, different treatment, so many complaints. However, in this era, you couldn't ignore Lenovo. Best price-performance ratio. As for model, I decided Lenovo Y450. Entering store, I stated purpose. I want Lenovo Y450. Assistant was skeptical seeing I looked like student, but expression changed seeing Nokia N63 in my hand. Y450, right? Yes. Same config as T4200. $49.99. Black or white? Black. Nodded. Placed box on counter. Took demo. Look at appearance. I'll open if no problems. I took demo, lifted cover. Black casing with orange trim looked better than photos. Keyboard decent, screen large. Try turning on? Yes, wait. Clerk plugged power, pressed button. Screen lit up, Windows XP flashed. I tapped. Response quick. This one. How much? $49.99. Can you make cheaper? $4,999 lowest. Model sells well, margin thin. Clerk paused. If you really want, I can give mouse free. I thought, looked at assistant. Do you have 8 gigabytes USB? Yes, Kingston's 80 yuan. Could you give USB? If so, I'll buy. Assistant thought, pretended hesitant. All right, I'll give USB as gift. Okay. Keyboards? Brother, even cheapest costs over 50. Can't give free. Clerk was anxious. Didn't say free, I'll buy. Hearing I wanted to buy, clerk smiled, began recommending. Half hour. Later, I walked out carrying bags. Total 5,328 yuan. Computer plus mouse plus bag plus 8 gigabytes USB cost 49.99. Logitech K350 keyboard. 329 yuan. Actually, I wanted mechanical keyboard, since mechanical with blue switches was most comfortable for typing. Unfortunately, not available in county towns. Even Lenovo clerks didn't know mechanical keyboard, unlike 10 years later when even primary school student would know. I guessed I'd wait until chance to go to city. After buying everything, I had less than 1,200 yuan left. With living expenses from parents, over 1,300 yuan total. Enough until next month's royalties. Back in rented room, turned on computer to upload content. Then realized problem. No internet. Landlord probably doesn't have computer, so no internet. Pondered, then eyes lit up. Could buy wireless internet card. In 2009 called wireless network card. USB interface plugs into computer. No need for internet cafes. Went to service center. Hour later, returned with 3G wireless internet card from China Telecom, price 1,150 yuan. Includes card and year's data. Damn it, just had 1,200 yuan left, now don't have much. Made up mind, once get royalties next month, will move. Can rent or buy then. Based on performance, royalties next month at least several 100,000. In county town, 100 square meter apartment costs around 150,000 yuan. Affordable. Next day in class, physics teacher explaining. Getting drowsy. Took out phone to check time. Jiang Chun asked in low voice. Bought phone. How much? 1,600. From writing novels? Made some money, plus savings from New Year's money. Wouldn't disclose actual income. Never thought about helping brother get rich, and Jiang Chun and I just ordinary friends. Gave few perfunctory replies. In days that followed, life simple. Classes during day, write at night. With computer and 3G card, no need for internet cafes, efficiency increased. Updating 30,000 words per day. Total word count reached 1.5 million. Drafts running low, only 700,000 remaining. Despite massive update volume, high martial era continues to grow. After initial order of 18,847, average orders rose to 68,000 plus. Astonishing. Achievement due to quality and terrifyingly high word count. Updating 10,000 words day is phenomenal. I'm updating 30,000. Top creators like Dancing, Sima-san, Tomato, Potato all updated 10,000 words day. Me, on release day, updated 300,000 words, then 30,000 words day, producing 900,000 words in month. 3 times top author volume. People post calculations. Old bookworm Afei. What this guy writes in day enough for me to read half hour. Bystander Xiao Wang. Others who post 10,000 words day called tentacle monsters. What call him if posts 30,000? Tentacle Demon King? Despite high update volume, popularity surged higher. Donations continue daily. Patrons exceeded 200. Topped monthly ticket charts. Long Kong discussions hotter. Some discussing whether Dupo or Gaowu is #1 divine book of 2009. Browsed forum. Saw posts praising me. Remained unmoved. Knew my situation. Completely copied work. Unlike Potato, true genius. Surprised me was overhearing male classmates discussing my novel. Made me feel strange. Wonder what their expressions when find out author is in their school or class. Month passed. December 11th, Friday, royalties arrived. System notification and bank SMS. Seeing it in person puts mind at ease. Took lunch break to visit China Construction Bank. Inserted card, entered password, clicked, check balance. Numbers popped up. 976,247.50 yuan. Nearly 1 million. Finger trembled slightly. Royalties amounted to nearly 1 million. Part from subscription fees, part from tips, part from mobile channels. Never seen so much money in past life. Never expected so much income few months after rebirth. Can't compare to protagonists earning hundreds of millions, but very satisfied. If not for system, could only earn few thousand month by writing novel. To be where I am today is something never dared dream of. Took deep breath, took out card, walked out. Sun shines on body, warm and cozy. Squinted and smiled. I'm content. First class afternoon. Rested face on hand, smile on face. Biology teacher lecturing about cell division. Didn't hear single word. Mind occupied with numbers in bank account. 982,347.50. 980,000. Now have money, what do? Buy house? Definitely. But what after? Buy car? Don't have license but could buy car for dad and gold bracelet for mom. Chen fan, what thinking about? Why smiling so lewdly? Voice. From side. Turned head. Jiang Chun tilting head. Face full of gossip. Just remembered beautiful woman I saw today, I said casually. Hearing beautiful woman. Jiang Chun perked up. Beautiful woman? How beautiful. Prettier than Lin Shi. Glanced at Jiang Chun in surprise. This guy interested in Lin Shi. Pretty much, but not from our school. Saw her outside. I lied. Off campus. Eyes lit up. Where? At entrance of Xinhua bookstore. Made up story. Hair down to shoulders. Wearing black stockings and leather shoes. Pretty good looking. Black stockings. Eyes lit up even more. Almost couldn't hold back. Sure it's black stockings? Asked in low voice. I'm sure. Suppressed laugh. Jiang Chun swallowed hard. Leaned closer. Asked. How old? Student or works? Student about our age. Go to Xinhua often? How would I know? Only ran into her once. After listening, thoughtful expression. Few seconds later, slammed hand on table. Decided, going to spend whole day at Xinhua bookstore tomorrow. Taken aback. Serious. Of course serious. Matter-of-factly. Beautiful woman in black stockings. Won't find better deal. Open mouth as if to say something, but swallowed it back. That idiot actually believed it. Then go ahead. Patted Jiang Chun on shoulder. Good luck. Bell rang for end of last afternoon class. Classroom descended into chaos. I packed things and headed out immediately. Back in rented apartment, packed computer, keyboard, mouse into laptop bag. Since buying computer hadn't brought home. Phone bring home every week. Kept hidden from parents. A problem, have to explain where money came from. Didn't want to hide writing novels income, but afraid several thousand wouldn't convince. Mom made several thousand writing novels. She'll ask, what novel? How make money? Scammed? Too complicated, better not say. But things different now. Royalties nearly 1 million. This number was convincing enough. Zipped backpack, stood at door, looked around rented room. 10 square meters, bed, desk, chair. Couldn't be simpler. After living here so long, time to move to different place. Locked door, picked up laptop bag, headed to bus station. Half hour later, boarded bus to Kong Township. Holding laptop, watching scenes rush past window, filled with thoughts. Wonder parents' reaction seeing nearly million. Tears of joy or relief. 45-minute journey passed in the blink of an eye. Got off bus, arrived home, pushed red gate. Parents on sofa, faces showing worry. Seeing me broke into smiles. Xiao fan back. Wang Mei stepped forward. Put things down, have water, Qin Jianjun said. Wang Mei took bag. What carrying? Heavy. Laptop. Paused. Raised voice. Where get laptop? Qin Jianjun looked. Eyes doubt. Money from novels? Write novel. Incredulous. What kind? To her, son, just ordinary student, write novels, make money? Mom, let explain properly. Pulled her to sit at coffee table, spoke solemnly. Past months, writing novel. Web novel. Novels. Frowned. How much make? Didn't answer, took out bank card, placed next to phone. Earned last month in there. Parents exchanged glance. How much? Asked. Looked at them calmly. 98,000. Room quiet few seconds. Expression changed confusion to shock. Shock to disbelief. How much? Voice trembled. 98,000. After taxes, in account. Chun Jianjun stood. Sat again. Stared at card long time. Xiao Fan. Not don't believe, number outrageous. Understood reaction. Rural people, no idea novels online earn money, let alone much. Mom, dad, show something. Turned computer, showed author fees from back end. Then bank balance SMS. Seeing million figures, convinced, concerns on faces. Seeing expressions, said, Dad, Mom, go county tomorrow, check bank. Believe then. 99% convinced, 1% until see balance. Okay, Dad, free. Go county. Wang Mei decisively. Let Dad see phone. Handed over. Examined. Not cheap. 1,005. 15,000? Clicked tongue. Better than Dad. Smiled. Get better tomorrow. Waved hand. Works. Why replace? Despite expectation in eyes. Next day. Family early. After breakfast, prepared county. Noticed dark circles under eyes. Recalled voices before bed. Until late. Neither slept all night. After meal, boarded bus. Not crowded, window seat, parents behind. Car started, Wang Mei head slumped. Fell asleep. Chun Jianjun eyes closed. Dad, Mom, wake. Arrived county. Opened eyes. Arrived. Get ready. Rubbed eyes, yawned, stretched. Got out. December chilly. Wang Mei tightened coat. Looked streets. Nervous. Where bank? Pointed. Minutes walk. Nodded. Followed. Few steps. Grabbed sleeve. Low. Bring card. Packed worry. Chun Jianjun snorted. At bank. Why ask? So I walked into the bank with my parents trailing behind me like they were about to get robbed. Mom kept glancing around nervously. Dad pretended to be all chill, hands behind his back. But I could tell he was watching every move. I was going to use the ATM at first, but figured the counter would be better. Printed a transaction record so they could actually see the numbers. We sat down, Mom clutching her clothes like it was a lifeline, staring at the number screen. Dad closed his eyes, but I knew he was faking sleep. 10 minutes later, they called our number. I sat at the window. This young teller, early 20s, ponytail, professional smile, took my card and swiped it. Then she froze, stared at the screen, blinked, looked again. 982,347 yuan and 50 cents. Nearly $1 million. She looked up at me like I'd just grown a second head. A kid in a hoodie with a backpack, nearly $1 million in the bank. Then she looked at my parents, simple clothes, obvious village people. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard and she just forgot what she was supposed to do next. I had to say hello twice before she snapped out of it. She lowered her voice when she said the number, like it was some kind of secret. Mom swayed and grabbed Dad's arm. The teller turned the screen so they could see. Mom leaned in, stared at those numbers, and her eyes immediately filled up with tears. She mumbled 98,000, her voice shaking. She misread it. Dad didn't say a word, but his Adam's apple kept bobbing. The teller printed the receipt, handed over the card and ID. Mom just stood there staring at that slip of paper like it might fly away. I had to tug her sleeve to get her moving. Outside, the December sun felt nice on my skin. Mom unfolded the transaction record and read it word by word. She couldn't understand most of it, but she recognized that balance at the bottom. 982,000. After we left, the teller just stood there stunned. She remembered seeing manuscript fee on the transaction slip. A 17-year-old kid with nearly $1 million in royalties. She opened her browser and searched for the company that sent the money. Shanghai Shenting Entertainment. Turns out they ran Qidian.com. I was writing web novels. She sat there wondering if she should try it too. Meanwhile, my parents were walking beside me and Mom asked what Shanghai Shenting even was. I explained it was the company behind my novel website. They handled the royalties. Dad finally broke his silence. Writing novels is really that lucrative? His tone was pure disbelief. I quickly played it down. Most novelists barely make a few thousand a month. Only a tiny number hit it big. Dad nodded like he understood, but I could tell he didn't quite. Then Mom hit me with the real question. I go to school every day. Where do I find the time to write? I paused, then came clean. I go to internet cafes every night and write all night. Their expressions changed instantly. Dad's voice went up an octave. What about your classes during the day? I'd been expecting that question. Walked between them and told them to listen. My grades were garbage to begin with. Even without novels, I'd only get into a junior college at best. Mom tried to interrupt, but I held up my hand. Even if I lucked into a 4-year university, I'd graduate, find some job, make a few thousand a month. Work your whole life, save maybe $1 million or $2 million. Me? Last month, I made $980,000. Next month, same thing. Once the book finishes in March, nearly $1 million every month. 1 year of my work equals a lifetime of everyone else's. Mom stopped dead. Dad stared into the distance, lost in thought. I was actually underselling it. Comic adaptations and physical publications on top of royalties. After the series ended, I'd get hundreds of thousands monthly from long-tail subscriptions for years. But telling them that now would just blow their circuits. Mom finally spoke, voice hoarse. So you're not planning to go to school? I shook my head. Definitely had to go. I'd finish the novel in February, then study hard for a good university. Plus, I was planning to find a pretty girlfriend for them in college. Mom burst out laughing through her tears and smacked my arm. Dad chimed in, said I was way better than him at my age. He was still farming at my age, not earning a penny. I earned more in a month than he had in half his life. Mom asked how much he'd earned total. Dad glared at her, said it was just an example. Walking between them, listening to their bickering, something warm hit me in the chest. In my past life, I always felt like I wasn't enough, that my parents spent half their lives worrying about me. Finally, I could make them proud. I told them I wanted to discuss something. Buy an apartment in the county town. Mom was stunned. I nodded. Needed a quiet place for writing. My rental was too small. Might as well buy. Dad frowned. How much? Around $150,000 to $160,000. Mom sucked in a breath. Even after seeing nearly $1 million in the account, spending over $100,000 still made her wince. Dad asked if I'd thought it through. I had. Most importantly, Mom could still cook for me. I showed off my skinny arms. That last part did it. Mom's soft spot was cooking for her son. She said okay, she'd buy it. Dad was stunned. Mom glared at him, said their son ate cafeteria food every day. Dad had no comeback. I told them it was settled. I'd look at houses near the school. Dad patted my shoulder, said I earned it. I could decide. Then I dropped the next bomb. Buying Dad a car too. He thought he misheard. Around $150,000 he could pick. His instinct was to refuse. Too expensive. My money didn't grow on trees. He was fine with his motorcycle. I told him buying a house and a car were different things. He'd still ride that motorcycle in winter, in the rain. What about Mom? Besides, his son made nearly $1 million a month. Was $150,000 too much? If he wouldn't pick, I'd pick for him. Mom told him to stop pretending. After a long pause, he asked what $150,000 could get him. I smiled. Done. I told them let's go look at houses right now. If it works out, we buy today. Then we look at cars for Dad. Mom was thrown off. Today? That fast? I said I only had Saturday and Sunday off, had to be in class Monday. She agreed. I'd already done my research online and talked to classmates who lived in the county. My pick was Zijin Garden, just built that year, had elevators and heating. No stairs to climb, no freezing at home in winter. Mom said fine, whatever I wanted. We hopped a taxi to the sales office. Glass doors, warm air hit us the second we walked in. The lobby looked fancy. Huge model in the center covered in little red sold flags. Salespeople in work clothes were whispering to customers. A woman came right over, maybe 23, black skirt suit, not gorgeous but pleasant. Asked if we were here to see apartments. I said 3-bedroom, mid-floor preferred. She looked surprised. I looked like a high schooler, but I was the one talking. She glanced at my parents behind me, suspicious. I told her she didn't need to check with them. I made the decisions. If it was right, we'd sign today. She didn't know whether to believe me, but my confidence sold it. She figured if it was real, her commission was locked. Even if it was fake, showing houses was her job anyway. She led us to the model and pointed out 2 3-bedroom options. 106 square meters, compact, small bedrooms but big living room. 118 square meters, spacious, bay window in the master bedroom. Building 5 had the best location, gardens front and back, not facing the street. I said take us to building 5. She asked if we wanted the model unit first or the actual unit. Model unit first. 3rd floor, elevator. The door opened and Mom's eyes lit up. Warm lighting, light floor tiles, huge living room, floor-to-ceiling windows looking out at the garden. Bedroom had a nice bed and wardrobe. Kitchen cabinets were polished. Mom stood in the middle of the living room spinning around, said it was beautiful. The saleswoman smiled and said this was a decorated model unit. They could decorate their own place however they wanted. Dad said nothing, just walked around, touched the walls, knocked on the window frames. I asked what he thought. He said it looked good. Then they took us to the actual unit, 8th floor, bare concrete. Strong cement smell, gray walls, rough floors. Mom was taken aback. Saleswoman explained this was the real deal, the model was the finished 3rd floor. They'd have to decorate it themselves. Dad squatted down, touched the ground, then went to the window. Community garden outside, trees right there. After seeing both, I decided on this one. No need to look further. Mom and Dad were clearly satisfied too. I asked about the property certificate. She said sign and pay, get keys immediately. Certificate in 2 to 3 months, maybe 30 days if fast. I nodded. Back at the sales office I said I wanted unit 803 in building 5. She crunched numbers on her calculator. 118.36 square meters, unit price 1980, total 234,000. Full payment got a 3% discount, 227,000. I countered at 220 flat, sign today, full payment. She said she'd check with the manager. 2 minutes later she came back excited. Manager agreed. I said prepare the contract. She brought it over. I read it carefully, signed. Took out my card with over 900,000. She swiped it on the POS machine. I entered the PIN. The machine whirred and spat out a receipt. Her tense face instantly relaxed. She'd made the right bet. This 18-year-old kid actually pulled out 220,000 for a house. She handed back the card and receipt, congratulated me, handed over a file bag with the contract, invoice, and keys. I gave the file bag to Mom. She took it with both hands like it was made of glass. Her voice trembled. This was it? I smiled. Mom, it's done. After the sales office, we hit up property management, got our access cards, and finished the paperwork. Mom was still dazed, like she couldn't believe we actually owned a place in the county town now. I told them we were going clothes shopping first, then touring the county. Car shopping tomorrow. Mom asked if we had to come back again. I said yeah, treat it as a day off. They'd already accepted it. We'd spent over 200 grand. What were a few more expenses? We hit the biggest mall in the county. Ate in a restaurant, bought clothes and shoes for everyone. Got Dad a watch for a few thousand. Then phones. Dad got a Nokia N86 for 2,800. Mom got a Sharp SH9120C for 2,900. They didn't want them at first, but I insisted. I could still see how happy they were when they got them. Mom pointed out I spent over 3,000 on them but only got myself 1,000 yuan phone. I told her I was still in high school. I'd get a better one in college. She patted my head like I was a little kid again. Said her son was so sensible. That night we sat in the living room watching Lurking, that super popular show from this year. I'd never seen it in my past life, only caught clips on Douyin years later. The Golden Buddha throne principle, the steampunk boy stuff. I was actually enjoying it. TV dramas back then were way better than the romance-obsessed garbage from a decade later. Mom and Dad were beside me debating how to decorate the new place. What style, solid wood floors or not. I told Mom I'd transfer her $100,000 for renovations. Her first reaction was to refuse. Said it'd only cost $30,000 or $40,000. They could handle it. Dad jumped in too. Said they couldn't help with the house purchase, but they should pay for the renovation. I wanted to say I didn't lack the money, but I looked at Dad's eyes and got it. This wasn't about money. They wanted to give something to their son. Purest parent love. Can't put it into words. I said fine, renovation was on them. Next morning we headed back to the county early. First stop, my old rental. Packed up the computer. Told Dad I needed a new rental near the school since Unit 803 wouldn't be ready for months. He said handle it. He'd sort out the lease cancellation with the landlord. He'd started treating me like an adult after everything I'd pulled off. Then we hit the Volkswagen 4S store. We'd decided on the car last night, a Skoda Octavia 2-liter automatic. Dad had seen the pictures and loved it. Not many people in the showroom. Salesperson came over. I asked straight up to see the Octavia automatic. She was caught off guard by how direct I was. Led us to a silver display car and started her pitch. I interrupted, told Dad to get in and try it. He climbed into the driver's seat, gripped the wheel, looked around, pressed some buttons, leaned back. Salesperson didn't say a word. A few minutes later he got out. I asked if he was satisfied. He nodded, said it was good. I turned to the salesperson and asked the price. Base price $149,000. With tax, insurance, registration, total around $165,000. But she could apply for a discount if I ordered today. I asked if they had stock. Her eyes lit up, but she asked if I was sure. I said yes, when could I pick up? She said Monday for the temporary plate since the vehicle office was closed weekends. I said fine, prepare the contract. Half an hour later Dad signed. I swiped the card. Final price $163,000. She handed Dad the receipt and contract in a file bag. Told him to bring his ID Monday for the plate. After that I took them to eat. Then they wandered the county for the afternoon while I hit a real estate agency. Spent the afternoon visiting 3 or 4 places with an agent before finding the right one. 4th floor of a 6-story building. Good light, big rooms, 10-minute walk from school. $600 a month. I took it. Signed, paid, got keys by 5 p.m. Called Mom. Told her the rental was sorted. Found them resting in the county town square. Told them it was late, no going back. Dad needed to pick up the car tomorrow. Got them a hotel. Settled them in, then headed back to my rental. Fired up the computer, uploaded 30,000 words. The new apartment had furniture but no bedding. Couldn't crash there yet. Told my parents to buy sheets tomorrow so I could move in the next night. Laid down to rest. Then I remembered something important to do. Check today's fortune shop. With 980,000 wealth points, I could finally afford the good stuff. Opened the shop interface. My eyes lit up. Mastering high school physics, 50,000 points. Enhanced hand speed, 10,000. Energy potion, 1,000. Physics mastery had finally refreshed. Only showed up 3 times in 2 months. Perfect timing right after the big wealth haul. Clicked buy without hesitation. Points dropped by 50,000. Then physics knowledge slammed into my brain. Closed my eyes. Every formula, law, concept that used to give me headaches was suddenly crystal clear. Newton's 3 laws, electromagnetic induction, Lenz's law, Faraday's law, light refraction, nuclear atom models. All burned into my mind like they'd always been there. Not just knowing what, but knowing how to use everything. Opened my eyes feeling incredible. Looked around for a physics workbook, but of course nothing there. Just a bed, desk, computer, and novels. Felt ridiculous, like learning the 9-yang divine skill and having nobody to fight. Whatever, I'd try it at school tomorrow. Then I remembered hand speed enhancement. 10,000 points. My typing had never been great, still slower than serious typists. This was a must-buy. Spent the points. Wiggled my fingers. Felt nothing different. Downloaded a typing test, 1 minute started. Felt the difference immediately. Fingers more flexible like afterimages on the keys. Result? 220 words per minute. Double my old speed. Nowhere near the record holder at 648. But I was happy. Maybe I'd find another upgrade eventually. Before writing, I bought the energy potions too, had 3 now. Opened Word and went to work. Lost track of time. Stopped at 12:02 a.m. 37,000 words in 3 hours. Way faster. Drank water, kept going. Alarm at 6:50. Downed an energy potion around 5, so still had juice. Final count, 112,000 words. 110,000 in a single night. Saved everything. Shut down. Brushed teeth. Got to school and dug through my desk for a physics workbook. Found a brand new one. Turned to page 1, picked up a pen. Questions that used to be gibberish were now like elementary math. Every problem I understood instantly. For the first time I realized physics was actually simple. Then Jiang-chun leaned over, head tilted, face full of disbelief. Sun rose in the west? I was actually studying? I told her from today on I was studying hard, aiming for a good university. She asked why. I said my brother told me good universities had tons of beautiful girls, only 2 classes a day, rest was gaming time. No dorm checks, do whatever. High-quality girls might land a pretty senior. Jiang-chun swallowed. Asked how many points. I said a little over 500. She went quiet. Her scores were around 300, same as mine. A few seconds later, she slumped back on her desk. Forget it, going back to sleep. I chuckled and kept working. Finished the first test. Flipped to the back, graded myself. 97. Stared at it for 2 seconds. Corners of my mouth crept up. 50,000 points well spent. Ran more tests. 98, 100, 98. Super satisfied. Part of me wondered why not perfect marks, but the thing only cost 50,000 points. Good, not perfect. Despite having mastery, I decided to start pretending to study. Otherwise too suspicious if grades skyrocketed while I did nothing. From that day on, teachers noticed the change. The guy who slept through every class was suddenly paying attention, raising his hand, studying after class. Jiang-chun was miserable. We were supposed to be underachievers together, and here I was grinding. He wanted to try, but formulas made his head spin. Could only sigh. Half a month flew by, time for the January monthly exam. I was confident. In those 2 weeks, I'd achieved mastery in math, chemistry, and biology. Only English and Chinese left. Hadn't mastered Chinese, but I'd studied, even memorized some forgotten poems. Getting over 100 should be no problem. In physics, math, and chemistry I could basically get full marks. But I definitely wasn't doing that. Had to control scores. 1 month of studying and perfect marks would be way too unrealistic. Still had a semester left, plenty of exams. I'd improve a little each time, and by the college entrance exam I'd be top student. Plan was around 90 in math out of 150, around 70 in the sciences. English was up to fate. 2 days of exams done, Friday weekend. Headed back to my county rental. Mom and Dad were living there most of the time now, watching the renovation and cooking for me. Ever since I mentioned the cafeteria food was making me lose weight, Mom insisted on home cooking. Couldn't refuse her. Plus, ever since I bought Dad that car, neighbors wouldn't stop asking if he'd made a fortune. Some even asked to borrow money. So annoying they decided to stay in the county. And honestly, it was way more convenient. Air conditioning, indoor toilet. Back home, it was an outhouse in the freezing dark. At dinner, I mentioned the exams, said I did way better. Mom looked surprised. She knew I wouldn't lie. I told her I'd show her when results came out. She shoved braised pork into my bowl. Dad stood quietly, but his eyes were full of satisfaction. Next day, first class was Chinese. Teacher called out scores. After 3 people, she paused. Chin Fan 112. Gasps through the class. I walked up calmly. Teacher said I'd made great progress, told me to keep it up. Walked back with dozens of eyes on me. Some surprised, some envious, a few skeptical. Jiang-chun squeezed out 112. Are you even human? I ignored him. Essay score was 48. Even I was surprised. Previously over 90 was exceptional, this time 112. Then the rest came in. Math 93, Physics 73, Biology 69, Chemistry 71, English 43. Total 461. Passed the third tier line but short of second tier. Exactly planned. Next exam I'd aim for 550, enough to be first in class. That evening I showed my parents. Mom held the Chinese paper, stared at 112, eyes getting red. Asked the total. 461. She put it down carefully, looked up at me with relief and tears. Dad coughed, said stop the drama, just be happy. Mom glared but smiled. They'd always worried that even though I earned well, not getting into a good university would be a huge regret. Now they saw I could at least hit third tier, maybe second with more effort. 1 a.m. Typed the last period and stopped. From today on, no more all-night writing. 3.97 million words total. Nearly 3 months of copying. Done. Leaned back, let out a long breath. Shoulders ached, wrists stiff, but I felt more relaxed than ever. Starting tomorrow, just 30,000 words a day at set times. Lying in bed, I sank into the wealth store. My only hope now was finding secondary bone development again. Didn't care about grades anymore, just wanted to grow taller. Opened the store, disappointed. Nothing I wanted. Could only keep waiting. But something caught my eye. Eloquent speech, 20,000 points. What was this? Focused on it and an explanation popped into my mind. Permanently enhances language expression. More logical speaking, more persuasive, confident in public, clear thinking in impromptu speeches. Effects last a lifetime. I was stunned. That was just being more assertive. Remembered a time at work in my past life. Had prepared what to say before a meeting but froze halfway through. The boss had to save me. After the meeting he patted my shoulder, said just need more practice. But I knew some people were born eloquent and some weren't. I was definitely the latter. Always admired people who could talk their way through anything. Jack Ma convinced a guy making $1 million salary to quit and join him when they had nothing. Pure persuasion and personal charm. Being back at 18 made me want to build something real. This product mattered. Bought it immediately. After purchasing, no obvious changes. No sudden enlightenment. Nothing new in my head. Tried saying a few things out loud. Weather's nice. Have you eaten yet? Could this system be a scam? Mumbled to myself. Noticed nothing different. Scratched my head, didn't really care. Points were spent. I'd find out if it worked eventually. Next morning in class my phone vibrated. Editor Xinghe. First call since I gave him my number. Hung up without answering, told the math teacher I needed the bathroom. He waved me off. Went downstairs to a quiet corner and called back. Xinghe sounded young, maybe 27, slight northern accent. Got straight to business. First volume, 200,000 words, initial print run of 40,000, 8% royalty rate, 50,000 advance. Asked if I wanted to consider it. I knew the rates. New authors got 3 to 6%, while known ones 8 to 10, top authors up to 15. I was top tier online but a newcomer in physical books, so they offered 8. Not good enough. My book had nearly 19,000 initial subscriptions, average subs approaching 50,000, topped monthly ticket charts for over a month, 400+ patrons, Long Kong forum discussions growing daily. When Ju Xian got published, how many people followed it online? When Ghost Blows Out the Light went viral, was the comment section this active? Both ended up selling millions. My starting point was higher than theirs at the same stage. With my track record, I could negotiate with any publisher. Since Qidian offered revenue sharing, if they could get me over 12%, I'd let them handle it. Handed the copyright to Qidian, saved me a ton of trouble. Few seconds of silence on the other end. Okay, they'd try for over 12%. I thanked him, said I'd treat him to a meal in Shanghai someday. Hung up and was surprised at myself. How was I so talkative? Was this the eloquent speech effect? 2 days passed, no call from Xinghe. I didn't chase. Figured they hadn't reached agreement yet. Friday, Xinghe finally called. 13% royalties, 200,000 words first volume, 80,000 copies printed, 100,000 advance. Chi would take 10% commission. Best they could get. I held my phone, stunned. 13%? 80,000 copies? 100,000 prepayment? Thought I'd be lucky to get 12. Said okay. Thanked him. Xinghe asked if I wanted to come to Shanghai to sign or if he should mail it. Said mail it, I had class. He laughed, almost forgot I was still in high school. 3 days passed, Friday evening. Got home and Mom handed me a postal document bag. Courier delivered it, looked like documents. Told her it was my novel's physical publication contract. She asked if I was going to be a real writer like Jia Pinghua. In her mind, only famous literary authors got physical books, names on the cover, displayed in bookstores, interviewed on TV. Never imagined her online novelist son could be one of them. I explained my novels were about gods and monsters just for fun, not serious literature. She told me to rest, Dad would be back soon. Opened the contract, read carefully, confirmed no problems, signed. Just finished when Dad walked in. At dinner, Mom eagerly told him about the publication. Dad asked if the contract was okay, no problems. I said Chidian handled everything, they took 10% commission as their agency fee. Dad nodded, said having Chidian watch over things was more reliable than going alone. Consider that 10% a favor, worth it. I was surprised Dad had such a broad perspective. Asked about the house renovation. Plumbing and electrical almost done. Bricklayers coming in a couple days. Then asked if I really didn't want solid wood flooring. I said tiles were fine. He calculated it'd be done by early February. 10 days tiling, 7 or 8 carpentry, 10 days painting. I figured ventilate a few months after New Year, move in around May. 11:58 p.m. Lay in bed, opened the wealth store. Still hadn't found what I wanted. Figured I'd try some metaphysics today. Waited for the midnight update. Counted down from 59, 3, 2, 1. Store refreshed precisely on time. Focused my mind and examined everything. Disappointment hit my face. Still no secondary skeletal development. Only 2 items. Common energy potion and high school English mastery. Not surprised, this wasn't what I needed most right now. Even if it didn't appear today, there'd be plenty of other chances. But since it refreshed, I naturally wouldn't let it pass. Bought it directly. Massive English knowledge flooded into my mind, vocabulary, grammar, everything. Few seconds later, I opened my eyes. Now I'd mastered all subjects except Chinese. Didn't really matter. With my current level, I could easily score over 600, maybe even 700. Enough to get into any university in Qin province. Thinking I could get into a prestigious university, I drifted off to sleep with a satisfied smile. Next morning, went to Lao Zhou's office early. Asked for half a day off. Since I'd been studying hard and grades improved significantly, he asked a few questions, then gave me a leave slip. Went to the post office, spent 20 yuan, sending the contract via EMS to Chidian. Sent the tracking number to Xinghe to remind him. Afternoon during class, system notification in my mind. Wealth points plus 1,321,359. My eyes lit up. Manuscript payment had arrived. This time the number reached 1.32 million. Phone vibrated at the same moment, royalty credit notification. Last month earned nearly 980,000. Spent 220 on the house, 160 on the car. Gave parents 100,000 for renovations. Had about 490 left. This month's 132 million brought my bank balance to 1.8 million. Wealth points hit about 2.04 million. Unfortunately, lots of points, nowhere to spend them. Store refreshed daily, but nothing I could use. Ballet mastery showed up again for 5,000 points. Even with plenty of points, I'd never buy that. The thought of myself in tight thermal underwear spinning on tiptoe gave me chills. Then Lao Zhou called me up to solve a problem on the board. Since I started pretending to study and grades improved, I'd become upper middle class in the rankings. Teachers occasionally called on me now. Unlike before when I slept through every class and they ignored me. Walked up, looked at the problem. Ellipse equation, eccentricity, prove something was a constant. In the past I'd just write solution and give up on such a hard analytical geometry problem. But now I raised my hand and worked through it step by step. Filled more than half the blackboard. Old Joe nodded in satisfaction. Said both process and answer were correct. Pushed up his glasses. Told me I'd clearly been studying hard lately. Then looked at the whole class with a serious expression. Said he hoped some of them could learn from me. Classroom went silent. Tapped the podium, said he'd seen my performance all along. Other teachers confirmed I'd been working hard both in and out of class. Meanwhile, some people just spent free time chatting or reading magazines. Didn't expect everyone to get into a top university, but at least need a good learning attitude. Final year of high school, if you don't put in the effort, who will? Softened his tone and moved on to the next question. Back in my seat, Jiang Chun looked at me with admiration. Couldn't understand that problem, but I solved it. I patted his shoulder, told him to study hard. He shook his head, said that question gave him a headache. Asked if I got into university, don't forget my brother. I said don't worry, but I knew we'd drift apart after high school. That's how it was in my past life. Having been reborn, I didn't plan to change anything about Jiang Chun. Just a classmate, that's all. 3 days passed. Saturday, 12:01 a.m. Lay in bed, huge smile on my face. Consciousness focused on the wealth store. Secondary skeletal development. 500,000 points. After use, the skeleton enters a second developmental period lasting 2 months. Height can break through genetic limits. Bone density increases, proportions optimized. Finally found it. I was overjoyed. Could finally grow taller. Current height 173. Past life I only reached 176. With this at least 180 should be no problem. Clicked by. Gentle energy flowed into my limbs and bones. Got drowsy. Sleepiness grew until I passed out. Opened my eyes, 8 a.m. next day. Checked myself. Height didn't seem different yet, but mental state was surprisingly good. Instructions said 2 months, only day 1. No obvious changes yet. Had to wait. 18 years this height, 2 more months was nothing. Then a wave of hunger hit. Intense, like I could eat a dozen buns. Went to the living room. Mom had breakfast ready. Dad went to the new house to watch over things. Washed up in under 2 minutes. Couldn't wait to eat. Mom made big pork buns. Usually 1 filled me up. Today I ate 3. Mom smiled watching me. For a mother, the greatest blessing was her child eating well. Told her to buy more beef and fish. She agreed, said I was still growing. Went to the supermarket. Came back with bags everywhere. I helped carry them in. Next 2 days food standards skyrocketed. 3 meals a day, all meat. Appetite increased massively. Before 1 bowl filled me, now I could eat 2.5. After 2 days I noticed changes. Wrists thicker. Measured height. Grown 1 centimeter. Also didn't feel sleepy after eating. Felt energetic. Woke up before my alarm. 2 more days passed. Xinghe messaged. Publisher printed 80,000 copies. Sent hardcover editions. Next 2 weeks life was routine. Up at 6:30, school same as before. But only I knew there were huge differences. In 2 weeks wrists got thicker. Grew 4 centimeters to 177. Jiang Chun was 179 and I used to look shorter. Now almost no difference. Noticed my cartilage had actually grown. Mom was delighted. Cooked different dishes daily. Kept the fridge full. Before I knew it, early February. February 2nd, final exams. Last exam of the semester. 2 days of testing. Still dark outside. Streetlights on scattered students at the gate. Exhaled white breath. Followed the crowd in. Exam rooms by last monthly scores. I was in room 3, middle position. Found my seat. Pencil case on the table. Looked at the board. 9 to 11:30, Chinese. I'd already gotten mastery of high school Chinese, but even without it I could score over 100. People nearby cramming. I just sat there. Bell rang, papers distributed. Glanced at the whole thing, flipped to the essay. On the road. Picked up the pen and started. Only sounds were turning pages and scratching pens. The proctor, middle-aged woman with glasses, walked back and forth. 3rd time she passed, she slowed. Glanced at my paper. Essay already half full. Looked at the clock. Only 45 minutes in. Finished the last word. Checked from start to end. 2 hours later raised my hand to hand in. Could have submitted an hour early but rules said 30 minutes max. Proctor asked if I didn't want to check again. Said it was checked. She flipped through, looked at me. I grabbed my pencil case and walked out. The guy behind me had envy in his eyes. Looked at his half-written essay, sighed, kept struggling. Second and third days passed. After my last exam, English, most students had left. Packed up slowly, walked out. People discussing answers in the hallway. Didn't bother. Results came out February 5th. Chinese 139, Math 111, English 78, Physics 89, Biology 83, Chemistry 86. Total 586. 23rd in the grade, first in my class. Nearly 70 points above second place. Naturally the result of my manipulation. I'd raise it further next time. Stunned everyone except the PE teacher. Especially Lao Zhou. He could hardly believe it. Without witnessing my changes, he'd have suspected cheating. During the holiday, he talked with me in the office. Not doubting, just encouragement. Told me to sit. Asked if I'd seen the grades. At 23rd in grade, first in class. Still sounded disbelieving. Said I'd made great progress in 6 months. I stayed quiet. He leaned back. Looked out the window. Knew what my grades were before. Honestly didn't have high expectations. Was glad I could get into a junior college. Blunt but true. Then said he'd seen my changes. With current grades, keep it up. Top-tier university no problem. Didn't want me going back to sleeping in class. Only a few months left, push myself. After the exam I could do whatever. I nodded, said I'd keep it up. Last day of semester. Holiday until March 1st. Got home, told my parents immediately. 586? Mom took the report card, looked again. First in the class? I nodded. 23rd in the grade. She asked if this was enough for a top-tier university. Said no problem. Last year's first-tier score in Qin province was only 537. She said good, remembered something, bought beef ribs, would stew them for me. Dad sat on the sofa, looked at the report card. Didn't say anything but mouth turned up. Results came out, then it was February 12th, the 29th of the lunar month. Festive atmosphere everywhere. Red lanterns, New Year stalls. We were preparing to go to the hometown for Chinese New Year. Grandparents still lived there, had to go back. Uncle's family too. Every New Year's Eve we gathered at grandparents'. After all these days my height reached 180. Facial bones redeveloped too. Nose more defined, jawline more distinct. Stood in front of the mirror. The thin version of me was gone. Features matured, more defined, more angles. Already good looking, now taller, looked like a sunny handsome guy. Mom called, time to go. Got in the car, Dad waiting. Mom asked if the door was locked, said he asked every time. Dad stepped on the gas. Drove an hour, arrived. In 2009 most families didn't have cars. Dad's Volkswagen was conspicuous. Engine off when Aunt Lee came out of the yard next door. Saw our family, jealousy on her face. Glanced at the car, went back inside. After I bought Dad that car, the whole village knew. Since my parents moved to the county, villagers assumed Dad made a fortune. Some asked how, if they could tag along. Dad couldn't say it was his son. Gave vague answers. They assumed he was hiding something, resentment built. Aunt Lee wanted Dad to help her husband, he didn't bite. Barely talked after that. Dad didn't care. Told me to open the trunk, take things out. Picked up bags, lifted with ease. Since the bone development my strength increased significantly. Hadn't measured the exact increase yet. Dad spent most of the past 2 months in the county but came back occasionally so the house wasn't too dusty. Still we cleaned thoroughly every year before New Year, habitual practice. As a family member I had to contribute. Mom assigned me to mop the floors. Living room and 2 bedrooms had terrazzo floors. Relatively easy but large area. Used to be quite a workout but now it was nothing. Done in just over 10 minutes. After mopping I helped Dad move tables, beds and chairs. By the time cleaning was completely finished it was past 6 p.m. House looked brand new. I wiped my hands, looked at the tidy home, felt a sense of peace. Next day we drove 5 kilometers to Chenjiapo where my grandparents lived. Dad and Uncle Jangwo grew up there. After Dad married Mom, they should have settled in Chenjiapo, but it was too small and poor. So they moved to Wangja village where Mom had land. I grew up there. Uncle Jangwo didn't stay either. He was doing better than Dad, had rented a shop in town and opened a successful restaurant. Whole family moved to town. Only grandparents still lived in Chenjiapo, guarding the old houses and 2 acres of land. Both brothers visited every few days bringing food and supplies, left pocket money for the elderly. Probably because there was little family property to fight over, the brothers always got along well. Holiday gatherings, drinks together, not like some families where they were oil and water. Drove 20 minutes, stopped in a yard. Courtyard looked relatively new, built less than a year or 2 ago. Uncle and Dad renovated it together, first to make the old folks more comfortable, second because the old place had too few rooms during New Year. Uncle contributed more since he was doing better. A silver second-hand Dongfeng Citroën was parked at the entrance. Uncle's car. Next to Dad's brand new Skoda Octavia, it looked pretty shabby. Then the dark red wooden door pushed open and a young woman about 20 walked out. Delicate features, clean refined air, a true beauty. Pink down jacket, vibrant and energetic. My cousin Chin Tong, 2 years older than me, sophomore at a second-tier university in Chang'an. Uncle only had 1 daughter, so I was treated as her own brother. When we were little, she'd use her saved pocket money to buy me snacks and toys. Great relationship since childhood. In my past life, I never married, and Chun Tong kept trying to set me up with girls. Unfortunately, I was unwilling and preferred to give up. She greeted my parents first. Mom's face immediately lit up. Took her hand, looked her up and down, said she was getting prettier, asked about school. Chun Tong said a little homesick but fine. Mom told us to chat while they went inside. Chun Tong looked at me, eyes lit up, said I'd grown so tall, much taller than her, and getting more handsome. I grinned, said I'd been handsome since a kid. She rolled her eyes, said I used to follow her everywhere like a shadow. Walking into the courtyard, her eyes gleamed with gossip. Asked if any girl had confessed to me. I shook my head. She asked incredulously, tall and handsome and nobody liked me? I said really. She said after I got into Chang'an University, she'd introduce me to her beautiful best friend. I said okay casually. Didn't think she was serious. In my past life she introduced girls, but only after graduation. Entered the house already full. Grandpa, uncle, aunt, dad, mom seated. I greeted them. Uncle sized me up, said I'd grown so tall. Aunt said I looked more energetic and stronger. Dad told me to bring things from the trunk. Uncle was caught off guard. Asked Dad if he drove here. Dad said yes, bought a car, more convenient. Uncle got interested, asked what brand, pulled Dad outside. Outside, Uncle saw the Skoda Octavia next to his Chevrolet. Surprise on his face. New car, knew the price, around $150,000. Asked Dad if this was what he bought. Dad said calm but smug. Uncle asked if he could afford it. He'd saved over 200 grand but couldn't bear to buy something this expensive. His Citroën was only 30,000. Dad smiled, didn't explain, said let's go inside. Back inside, Uncle looked at Dad with inquiry. Dad hesitated. I jumped in and said I bought the car for Dad. Didn't plan to keep my earnings secret forever. Plus Uncle was good to me. In my past life he gave me my first laptop for university. But I wouldn't tell the exact amount. Room went silent. Chun Tong was drinking water, paused, burst out laughing. Asked if I was kidding. I said I wasn't. Her face full of disbelief. Uncle frowned. Asked how a teenager could afford a 100 grand car. Dad explained I wrote novels online, did well, earned some money. Uncle asked if you could really make that much writing novels. Chun Tong's eyes lit up. Asked if I was on Chidian. Surprised she knew. She said boys in her class read there. Leaned closer. Asked what I wrote and my pen name. Uncle was confused. I explained what online novels were. Uncle interrupted. Asked how much I'd made. Aunt glared at him. Told me he spoke too quickly. I said probably 400,000 or 500,000. 2-second silence. Chen Tong almost dropped her cup. Uncle opened his mouth, swallowed it back. Grandpa was shocked hearing his grandson earned that much. Chen Tong pretended to be angry, said I made that much and didn't buy her a gift? She was even going to introduce her best friend as my girlfriend. Uncle said angrily I was still in high school. She chuckled, said she'd introduce us after the exam. Pulled me aside, eagerly asked what novel I wrote. Got my computer from the car, went to a room next door. Plugged in, connected. Opened Chidian, logged into the author backend. Chen Tong leaned close to the screen. Found my work, turned the screen toward her. She read the title aloud. The Era of High Martial Arts. Said it sounded impressive. I said it was about a protagonist leveling up by fighting monsters in a martial arts world. She grabbed the mouse, scrolled down, looked at clicks, favorites, fan rankings. Then she saw the income column, paused, counted the numbers, stared at me wide-eyed. Over 4 million. Didn't I say only 4 or 500,000? Last month's royalties were 1.73 million after tax. Total around 4 million now. Told her if we told them the truth their hearts couldn't take it. She nodded, said even her heart couldn't take it. Poked my arm. Said now that I was successful don't forget my sister. I said I'd never forget her. In my past life Chen Tong worked at a private company making just over 5,000. Husband was a programmer making 20,000. With a kid and mortgage life wasn't easy. When he turned 35 he lost his job. She'd always been good to me, visited often in college, bought me clothes. Even years later she worried about my marriage. Now that I was rich I'd make her life better. Grandma's voice came from outside. Dinner was ready. 7 p.m. Family gathered for the Spring Festival Gala. 8 o'clock. Familiar opening music. Chen Tong dropped her oranges and moved closer to the TV. Hosts walked out wishing everyone Happy New Year. Stage bright red with golden patterns. Looking at this scene I felt emotional. In my past life after working I rarely watched the gala. More like a ritual by then. This year was alright. Fei Wong performing legend. Lu Qian with his magic. Still loved his stuff, no one matched him even years later. Time approached midnight. Mom told me to get ready for fireworks. Every household set off firecrackers around midnight. As the only boy the task fell to me. I'd bought an extra large firework. Carried it out, placed it in the courtyard. Chen Tong stood at the door with an incense stick. Told me to use it safer. I waved my lighter. Distant firecrackers crackling. Everyone came out, grandparents, mom and dad, uncle and aunt. Dad shouted order. I lit the fuse, it sparked inward. Ran back. Loud bang, golden light shot into the sky. Colorful fireworks exploded overhead. Red, green, gold. Illuminating half the village. Chen Tong started taking pictures. After fireworks, dumplings. Grandma, mom, and aunt made nearly 200. Each person got about 30. I ate nearly 50. Chen Tong only managed a dozen. 1 a.m. lying in bed, consciousness in the system. Opened the wealth shop. Didn't expect much but one item made my eyes light up. Cataclysm of All Races, 500,000 points. A novel set more than 10 years later, wildly popular martial arts. Even higher achievements than High Martial Era. Good way to continue the style after finishing my current book. Expected to finish around early March. After the college entrance exam I could start publishing Tribulations of Myriad Races. With capital now, if the shop refreshed money making items like the Three Squirrels Business Plan Guide, I could consider starting a business after university. But still in high school and the county environment made business pointless. Can't open a milk tea shop here. Wouldn't earn as much as writing a novel. Bought it. Points dropped by 500,000. Entire contents of the novel appeared in my mind. First day of Lunar New Year. Got up at 7 for New Year visits. Previous years I'd sleep until 9 and mom had to wake me. Now I woke naturally, full of energy. Elders already up chatting. Aunt said I got up early unlike my lazy sister still in bed. I said let her sleep in. Uncle handed me a red envelope. I refused but he insisted in a deep voice. Said I was still a child in their eyes. Red envelope was a must. 500 yuan, same every year. No difference because I'd made money. Grandpa gave me 100. After Chuntong got up, Dad gave her a red envelope too. 200 this time, up from before. Grandpa still gave her 100. Old man treated everyone equally. No preference for sons over daughters. After eating something simple, we headed out for visits. Almost everyone in Chenjiapo was surnamed Chun, all relatives from hundreds of years ago. First day, people visited each household for New Year greetings. Men and children went, not women. Our group was uncle, dad, Chintong, and me. For people, compared to families with 7 or 8 members, we were inconspicuous. Their groups could easily form a football team. Took an hour to visit over a dozen homes. 2 more and we'd be done. I wasn't tired, but Chuntong could barely move. Said she couldn't walk anymore. Could I carry her? I told her to dream on. 2 more places, then she could rest. She complained about carrying me when I was little. I said she was a child then. She was an adult now, learned to be reserved. She told me to get lost. After some playful fighting, she kept walking. For days passed. Last family dinner on the 5th, both families leaving. Only grandparents remained. I gave each 5,000 yuan. Not much for me, but a token of affection. They wouldn't accept more. Left Chenjiapo, went straight to the county. New house renovated but needed 3 months ventilation. Back in the county, I felt bored. Knew almost nobody. Busy writing novels, not familiar with classmates. Aside from Jiangchun, we'd just end up at an internet cafe. Decided to explore the county. In my past life, I only came back a few times, each visit short. Already unfamiliar with the layout. Got dressed and went out. First stop, Cultural Square. Liveliest place this time of year. Young people still around, unlike a decade later. Square was packed. Inflatable castles and trampolines on the east side covered with kids. Little girl slid down, lost balance, sat on the cushion, stunned for seconds, then climbed back up. West side had a pirate ship with screams at the top. I was looking around when a fragrant aroma hit me. Chicken strip vendor. In my past life, I loved these in high school. More than a decade later, they never tasted as good. The smell made me want to try it. Walked up, asked the price. Owner said 3, 5, or 10 yuan options. I said 5. 5 minutes later, strips were ready. Paid, sat in the pavilion. Poked one with a skewer. Tasted just like I remembered. Finished, reached for a tissue out of habit. Nothing. Was about to wipe with my hand when a hand reached out. Slender white hand holding tissues. Looked up. Lin Shi. White down jacket. Scarf around her chin. Looking down with a hint of a smile. Handed me the tissue. Took it. Wiped my mouth. Thanked her awkwardly. Asked what she was doing here. Said temple fair. Came with her mom, but mom went home tired. Pointed to a woman walking away. Asked if I was alone. Said yeah, just wandering. She said let's go together, no fun shopping alone. I nodded. She stood, patted dust off her jacket. Was about to step forward when she paused. Looked up at me. Hadn't noticed sitting down but realized I was almost a head taller. Asked when I grew so tall. I said just this period, maybe wasn't my time before. A few days later I'd grown more. Now 182. She stared for 2 seconds, gaze on my face, then looked away uncomfortable. Remembered me as only handsome, not tall. Never expected I'd grow so much and become sunny and handsome. Mumbled that I seemed more handsome. I asked what. She said nothing, ears red. Said let's go. We walked side by side. Could smell a faint scent from her, light, almost sweet. She turned to me, asked if it was true I scored over 580. I nodded. She said that was higher than her 570. Took a step forward, turned to face me, walked backward with hands behind her back. Asked if I secretly worked hard. I said I was just smart, could score over 500 easily. She laughed, called me shameless. Took a few steps back, tripped over a power line, fell backward. I grabbed her arm fast. She steadied herself, ears red again. Thanked me, pulled her hand back. I told her to look ahead when walking. She muttered okay, turned around and walked alongside me. After a few steps, she glanced at me again. Without noticing, we walked into a balloon pop stall. Crowd gathered. Owner shouting 10 yuan for 15 shots, hit all and get a toy. Lin Shi's eyes lit up at a half-person-sized panda doll. Tugged my sleeve, said let's play. I agreed. She paid 10 yuan, got a gun, handed it to me. Said she couldn't aim properly. Honestly, wasn't confident. Shooting balloons looked simple, but the gun was a toy, sights might be off, balloons small. Hitting 5 out of 10 was good. But last night a new item appeared. Shooting mastery, 10,000 points. Glanced at it then, didn't take it seriously. Now I bought it. Suddenly my mind filled with knowledge. How to hold, aim, control breathing and trigger timing. Like I'd practiced 1,000 times. Took the gun. She asked softly if it would work. Didn't answer, raised the gun, aimed. Finger on trigger, breathing slowed. Memories in my mind directed my movements. Bang! First balloon popped. Her eyes lit up. Bang! Bang! 2 in a row. Kids gathered to watch. Shopkeeper put down his pump with interest. 5th, 6th, 7th. Every shot perfect. By the 10th she was so nervous she clenched her fists. Bang! 10th burst. A kid exclaimed wow. I didn't stop. 11th through 15th. Entire row empty, not one miss. Silence, then kids clapped. Shopkeeper chuckled. Took the panda off the shelf. Said impressive, asked if I'd practiced. I handed the panda to Lin Shi. She held it, stunned. Looked at the panda, then at me. Finally asked how I was so amazing. I returned the gun, casually said I was a genius. She burst out laughing, called me shameless. Asked if she wanted to play again. Said she had the panda already. I said let's go. She bounced the panda up. Said she'd carry it herself. After a few steps it slid down. She almost dropped it. I held out my hand. She hesitated but handed it over. I grabbed it by the back. Lifted gently. We strolled until almost 6. She said it was late, had to go back. I said I'd walk her. She waved her hand. Said no need, not far. I said I was free anyway. Asked where she lived. She said Zijin Garden. I was stunned. Hadn't expected her family lived in the same neighborhood as my new house. She asked what was wrong. I said nothing. Walked in silence. Shadows long from streetlights. She'd glance down then steal a look at me. At Zijin Garden entrance she took the panda back. Said she was going in. I said bye. Watched her enter, headed home. Unfortunately couldn't live in Zijin Garden yet. Got home. Lay on the sofa. Thinking about the day. Shopping with a beautiful girl was a great experience. Stared at the ceiling. Slight smile without realizing. Phone rang. New QQ message. Anime girl profile picture, nickname Lin Shi. Asked if I was home. I said arrived. 10 seconds later she said she was very happy today. I said me too. She put the panda on her bedside table. I said Said it was big, taking up half the headboard. I stared at the screen, not good at chatting with girls. Thought if it's too big, get a smaller one. Typed I'd get her a smaller one next time. On the other end she looked at the message. Cheeks flushed. Smiled. Replied no need, this was fine. I gave a casual reply then ignored it. Thought I wouldn't see Lin Shi until school, but a few days later she messaged. Asked if I was busy tomorrow. I said what's up. She said the newly built park in the south was lively, wanted to go. My eyes lit up. She was inviting me out? Of course I wouldn't refuse. Said okay. Meet at Cultural Square at 9. Never been in a relationship in my past life, but I knew pursuing a girl required initiative. If you waited for her to pursue you, you needed to be handsome or rich. Like I was now. Next morning got up early, washed up, picked through clothes. With money I wasn't wearing cheap stuff anymore. Spent 10 minutes choosing, settled on simple. Black long sleeve, black down jacket, black sweatpants, sneakers. Looked stylish. Admired myself in the mirror, then went to breakfast. Told Mom I had something to do, wouldn't be home tonight. Seeing me dressed up she muttered, could this kid be going on a date? Headed to Cultural Square. Arrived at 8:35. Almost half an hour until 9. Sat in the pavilion, played on my phone. Few minutes later she messaged. Asked if I'd arrived. Said I was at the pavilion. She said she'd come find me. Looked across the square. Soon a familiar figure approached. White down jacket, high ponytail, sweatpants, white sneakers. She was wearing almost the same as me. Both down jackets and sweatpants but different colors, one black, one white. Looked like a couple. She seemed to notice too. Blush on her face. Composed herself. Asked if I'd been waiting long. I said just arrived. Her gaze lingered on me 2 seconds, then looked away. I looked at myself, then at her. Smiled. Said quite a coincidence. Her ears turned red. Muttered what a coincidence. I just smiled. She changed the subject. Asked taxi or bus. Bus would take half an hour. Taxi 10 minutes. I chose the bus. Waited at the stop, our black and white outfits standing out. Bus arrived, $1 each, I paid for both. Found seats in the back row. She sat by the window, I next to her. Bus moved slowly. Sunlight through glass on her profile turned stray hairs light gold. My gaze drawn to her. She turned her head. Asked what I was looking at. I said nothing, just the sun shining brightly. She curved her eyes into a smile. I remembered when we were desk mates she was only a little shorter, now I was a head taller. Asked if we might be desk mates again. She shook her head. Said we weren't even in the same class. Tone helpless yet soft. I said that wasn't necessarily true, then looked out the window. Half-hour later bus stopped near the park entrance. Security guard said we needed tickets, $10 each. I reached for my wallet but she stopped me. Said she'd buy it since I bought hers earlier. Saw her serious expression. Didn't insist. Entered the park. Quite a few people even though it was early. Park was newly built and the largest in the county. Walked side by side on stone paths. Lawns trimmed. Breeze carrying grass fragrance. Wind blew. Felt like sand in my eye. Stopped. She asked what was wrong with concern. I said probably just sand. She said don't rub, it'll hurt more. Looked into my eyes. Said don't move. She'd blow on it. I froze, stood still. Said I should lower myself. I squatted down. She tiptoed close. Pried open my eyelids. Warm breath brushed my eyelashes. Faint fragrance around my nose. First time so close to a girl, heart racing uncontrollably. After blowing a few times she stepped back. Asked if I was better. I said much better. She said good, face flushed. Said you can't rub eyes with sand. Can damage your cornea. We strolled along chatting and laughing. Sun got high overhead. Park more crowded. Food stalls wafting aromas. Lynn she touched her belly. Muttered she was a little hungry. I said it was noon, let's eat. She asked what. I said hadn't decided but this time was my treat. No refusing. She treated me this morning. She smiled, said okay. Left the park. I led her to the bus stop. She looked confused. Asked where we were going. I said she'd see. Bus arrived. I let her get on first. Found window seats in back. She couldn't resist asking where I was taking her. I smiled. Kept her in suspense. Said something delicious. After half an hour I said we'd arrived. Walked a short distance, her eyes widened. I brought her to a KFC. Thought about a Western restaurant but too expensive seeming for the county. KFC was still a rarity here. First one opened last year. Considered relatively high-end. Unlike 10 years later when KFC would be embarrassing. She tugged my sleeve. Whispered it was expensive. Let's grab something simple. I said it was a promise. She'd listen to me this time. At the counter the cashier's eyes lit up. Handsome guy, pretty girl. Asked what we wanted. I looked at Lynn. She said I should order 2 spicy chicken burgers, New Orleans wings, Colonel's nuggets, medium fries, mashed potatoes with gravy, 2 medium cokes, 2 egg tarts. 80 yuan total. She tugged my sleeve, said too much. I said I had a big appetite. After paying, sat by the window. Waited 10 minutes, got the tray. Handed her a burger, said eat while hot. She'd been shopping all morning. Started eating immediately. Even when hungry she ate delicately. Lips pursed, chewing slowly, long lashes casting shadows. If something was too hot she'd wrinkle her nose then relax. Eyes lit up at the taste, mouth curved into a smile. My eating was wild by comparison. Hamburger gone in 4 or 5 bites while hers was less than a third. After one burger I ordered a beef and a chicken leg burger too. She was full after half the food. Had finished the sides but still had half a burger. Looked at it with difficulty. I asked what was wrong. She said embarrassedly she couldn't eat anymore. I glanced at the half burger, then her puffed cheeks, reached out and took it without a word. Said don't waste it, still not full. She watched me eat it in 2 or 3 bites, then froze completely. That was the burger she'd taken a bite of. Her mind went blank. A phrase from a romance novel popped in. Wasn't this indirect kissing? Cheeks flushed instantly, red from ears to neck. I asked if she was unwell. She lowered her head, said nothing. I said let's go. After leaving KFC her complexion was normal, only ear tips still red. Asked where to go this afternoon. She said tired, wanted to go home. Felt dizzy, wanted to be alone. I said I'd take her. She said no need, could take the bus. Seeing her resolute expression I didn't press. Told her to be careful, let me know when home. Bus pulled up. She hurriedly said goodbye, got on, found a window seat. As it started she glanced back and saw me still standing there watching. Only after the car turned the corner did she lean against the window and touch her burning ear tips. I watched the bus disappear, chuckled softly, turned to walk back. After that we didn't meet for a while but contacted more frequently. Physical book sales came in. First month all 80,000 copies sold out. Publisher was taken aback. Immediately printed a second batch doubling the quantity. Priced at 28 yuan, 80,000 copies, 13% royalty. 290,000 gross. After agency fee and taxes, net around 210,000. Already in my account. Bank balance reached 3.8 million. Having so much money in high school in a county town meant money but nowhere to spend it. Winter vacation ended, March 1st, new term. First week was a placement test. With exams over my novel ended too. Uploaded the last chapter, typed 3 words. The end. From October 17, 2009 to March 4, 2010. Nearly 5 months, 3.97 million words. Finally over. Earned over $1 million in royalties. December was the first month at 970,000. January 1.32 million. February 1.75 million. March around 1.9 million. Plus 300,000 for physical publication. All in all over 6 million yuan. And that wasn't everything. Even after completion the website and mobile channels would bring hundreds of thousands monthly. Hadn't included anime and game copyrights. After finishing the book I joined the millionaires. Opened reader comments. People saying they'd been following for 4 months. Reluctant to say goodbye. I smiled. About to scroll when a notification popped up. A grumpy durian donated 100,000 coins. Fanshin is awesome, see you next book. Then another 100,000 from Xiaolu Tingyu. A dozen large donations flooded in. Tipping continued. I stared at the screen until notifications subsided, then turned off the computer. Next morning alarm woke me. School bell rang. Lao Zhou entered with report cards. Classroom went silent. Said diagnostic test results were out. Called my name. I raised my head. 632 points, first in class, 9th in the whole school. Silent for a second. Then it exploded. Holy crap. 632? Old Zhou tapped the podium, said quiet. Second place Li Tao, 516. Room erupted again. Li Tao used to be top student, over 100 points lower than me. Proctoring was strict so everyone knew my score was genuine. Shocked students and teachers. Even the grade head was alarmed. Talked to Lao Zhou about transferring me to the experimental class. Lao Zhou was unwilling but my wishes had to be considered. I said without hesitation I'd go. Lin she was in the experimental class, no reason to stay here. He asked if I was sure about the fierce competition. I said I was afraid they wouldn't adapt to me. Already had a cheat code. Seeing my expression he stopped persuading. Next day Lao Zhou guided me to meet new homeroom teacher Zhao Fong. 30s, short hair, clean profile. Asked if I was Chun fan. I said hello teacher. She nodded, told me to follow. Headed to the experimental class. She walked to the podium, told everyone to stop. Morning reading quieted. Introduced me as a new student who scored 630, ninth in the grade. Murmurs arose. Girls by the window whispered I was tall, handsome. My gaze swept the room and settled on the third row by the window. Lin she looking at me. Smile on her lips, eyes bright. Boys in the back said nothing but some looked me up and down. Zhao Fong pointed to an empty seat in the last row. I looked at her and asked if I could choose my own seat when they rearranged. She glanced at me in surprise. Said if I got first in the class in the mock exam I could choose. Low laughs rang out, people waiting to see a show. I stayed silent. She asked if I had no confidence. I said I did. First in the class was nothing, even the top student only got 650. Piece of cake. Zhao Fong was stunned. Laughter stopped. I stood straight, tone calm. Asked if I got first she'd let me choose. Did the teacher keep their word? She stared 2 seconds, then nodded. I said okay and walked to the last row. As I passed Lin she's seat I winked at her. She chuckled softly, lowered her head pretending to read, ears turned red. Her desk mate whispered if they knew each other. Lin she said they used to be desk mates. I'd already walked to the last row. 2 rows ahead guys were whispering about me. One said what a load of bull, I was his classmate from first year, grades about the same. Probably cheated to get 9th last time. I stood up, patted him on the shoulder. He froze, turned slowly. I said, dude, your breath smells terrible. Remember to brush your teeth. His face turned red. Several people suppressed laughter. He glared at me like he wanted to fight. Zhao Fong came down from the podium. He froze, pretended to read. She told me she brought me here to study hard, not cause trouble. I said don't worry, I'd definitely get first next time. She said she'd wait. After morning reading Lin she came to my seat. Asked why I came to the experimental class. I said because you're here. She was stunned. Face turned red. Slapped me lightly. I said just kidding, mainly better learning environment. She looked relieved but also a little disappointed. The guy I'd insulted showed anger seeing this. As class beauty Lin she was every boy's dream girl, but no one had seen her close to any boy. She noticed I'd grown taller. I said maybe from eating well. My height was now 184, about 10 days left on the bone development. She asked if it would keep going up. I said probably not. For the next period I didn't contact Lin she proactively. She'd chat with me occasionally. Students noticed the class beauty and the new guy seemed close. Male students had unfriendly looks but none provoked me. They were waiting to see me fail the mock exam. Soon the mock exam arrived. Experimental class on high alert. I looked relaxed. Results came a week later. Monday morning Zhao Fong walked in with report cards. Classroom silent. She said all students were in the top 20 of the grade. Then paused. First place, Chun Fan 687, also first in the grade. Gasps rippled through the room. All eyes turned to me. I stood, walked to the podium. Passing Lin she's seat she looked up, eyes bright, smile on her lips. Took the report card. Zhao Fong smiled slightly, said I did well. I thanked her, then asked if she still stood by her promise. If I got first I could choose my seat. She stared 2 seconds, smiled. Said sure. I said third row next to Lin Shi. She followed my gaze, amusement in her eyes. Said there was someone next to her. I said calmly let's adjust it. She nodded. Then told the class anyone who got first could also choose. Then told the class not just Chin Fan. Anyone else who got first place could also choose their own seat. After saying that Zhao Fong continued reading the rankings. Zhou Wentao, 642 points, second in the grade. A bespectacled boy stood up with defiance on his face. Lu Li, 634 points, third in the grade. After results Zhao Fong changed seats. I became Lin Shi's deskmate. Her original deskmate moved away resentfully. Lin Shi asked if I did this on purpose. I stared seriously and asked if she knew I had a disease. She asked what illness worried. I said fear of unfamiliar environments. When I came somewhere unfamiliar I became timid. Had to find the most familiar people. She was the most familiar. She stared 2 seconds, patted my arm. Said I was lying, no such disease. I laughed. Said really, I felt better sitting next to her. She looked away, muttered smooth talker. Since becoming desk mates, she experienced the benefits. I could answer almost any question. Sometimes after I explained something she'd be happy all day. Other times if I talked to other girls she'd feel unhappy. Time flew. Second mock exam end of April. I came first again, 690, 40 points above second. Lynn she scored 594, improved over 10 points. Walking home, setting sun casting long shadows. After half a block she asked if I'd decided which university. I asked why she was asking. She said just casually, with my scores Tsinghua or Peking University shouldn't be a problem. I said it should be. She asked which one. I said hadn't decided. Silence. I looked down at her. She stared at the road, eyelashes drooping. I smiled. Asked what about her. She planned to apply to Chong'an University of Science and Technology. A 211 in Xi'an, scores around 580 last year. Her current score should be stable. I said that was good. She looked up, said my score should be enough for Tsinghua or Peking University. I shook my head, calm but firm. Said I didn't plan to apply to either. Surprise in her eyes. I smiled faintly, said it would definitely be a school in Chong'an. I'd lived there over 10 years in my past life, become accustomed to it. As a Qin native, I preferred my hometown. She was stunned. Then a faint glimmer appeared. Fingers gripping her clothes loosened. Asked why not Tsinghua or Peking University. I said Chong'an was good too, Jiaodong and Northwestern Polytechnical were good. She opened her mouth, swallowed it back. Said oh, voice soft but ending rose. Where I couldn't see her mouth curled up. Third mock a month later. I scored 699, first in grade. Lynn she 608, 11th. After 3 mocks I was well known. A prodigy from the regular class to first in experimental. Students from other classes would peek in during breaks. A cute girl handed me a love letter. Never received one before, wanted to accept just to see. But seeing Lin Shi's unhappy expression I declined. Her appearance was far inferior to Lin Shi's. Can't lose the big picture for small gains. Lin Shi was reading but ears perked up. After everyone left she whispered why I didn't accept. I asked if she wanted me to. She said what did it have to do with her? I smiled. After school we walked, neither speaking. She said the love letter girl was pretty. I said didn't notice. She said I seemed to want to accept it. I said no one had ever given me one, was curious. But didn't they take it back? She pursed her lips. After a while I stopped. She turned, asked what was wrong. I stared 2 seconds, said her name. Asked what? I said we were both graduating soon, both single, so how about? Stared into her eyes, pretending serious. She froze, face turned red. I saw her reddened ears, mouth curving up, tone suddenly light. Said just kidding, she didn't take it seriously, did she? She said I do. My smile froze. She looked directly into my eyes, face flushed but voice clear. Said she did. Air silent 2 seconds. My tongue seemed tied. I only meant to tease. To my surprise she agreed. This progress seemed off. I asked if she was kidding. She said humph, turned away. I said then I'd take it seriously. She neither spoke nor refused. Excited, I picked her up in my arms. She grabbed my clothes. I spun her around, put her down. She stepped back, breathing not calm. I grinned. She asked what I was laughing at. Slapped me. I said happy. She looked away, muttered idiot. That evening at dinner Dad brought good news. New house in Zijin Garden ready to move in, tomorrow. This rental cancelled. I could go directly to Zijin Garden after school. Joy in my eyes. I could give Lin Shi a surprise. After school next day we walked out together. Usually we separated after less than a kilometer. But today I continued with her. She asked if I wasn't going back. I said I'd take her home. She said no need, just a few steps. I said she was my girlfriend now, natural to take her home. She blushed, said all right. I smiled, took her hand. She trembled but didn't refuse. Hand small, soft, a little cool. I gripped tighter, walked hand in hand without speaking. After half a block she whispered my hands were hot. I said hers were cold. She pursed her lips, mouth turned up. Reaching Zijin Garden entrance, we both slowed. She said she'd arrived. I let go. She walked in, I followed. She stopped, saw me behind her, reproachful look, asked why I followed. I said I forgot to tell her. I moved. Building 5, 8th floor, 803. She looked surprised, slapped me lightly, asked why I didn't tell her. I said house just ventilated after renovation. Moved in today, wanted to give a surprise. She said this wasn't a surprise, it was a shock. Glared but smile in her eyes. I said from now on I could take her home every day. She blushed, said who wanted me to, turned and walked but looked back. I stood there smiling. She said let's go. Walked side by side, shadows long from streetlights. At building 8 she stopped, said she'd arrived. I nodded. She said see you tomorrow. Turned into the building, glanced back, disappeared. I stood a while, then went to building 5. Next morning Lynn, she stared at me. I asked what was wrong. She said she thought of something. During the spring festival after shopping I took her home. That's when I learned we lived in the same neighborhood. She asked why I didn't tell her then. I said house was newly bought, not renovated yet. Didn't know when I could move in. Told her as soon as possible now. I looked calm. She looked away, muttered okay. For the next period we were inseparable, always going home together. Time flew to the college entrance exam. I felt no nervousness, already past the exam. Lynn, she was nervous, called me that night. I spent an hour comforting her. Talked about exams, which city, the way she looked back at me first day in the experimental class. Her voice stopped trembling. Then soft breathing, she fell asleep. June 7th, 7 a.m. Awakened by kitchen noise. 7:05, alarm hadn't gone off. Mom at the stove, moving carefully, afraid of waking someone. Fried egg, porridge, buns laid out. She was startled when I called out. Said to sleep longer. I said not going back. She told me to eat, check my admission ticket. I sat down. She stood watching me, then rummaged through my bag. Admission ticket, pens, pencil, eraser, water, tissues. I watched her without a word. Door opened. Dad walked in with soy milk, freshly made, still warm. After breakfast, 7:30. Mom handed me the file folder, straightened my collar. Said don't be nervous. I had no idea what nervousness was. Took a bus to my exam site, County Number 1 Middle School. Same center as Lynn, she, but different rooms. I was in the 3rd, she in the 5th. Was supposed to go with her, but her parents were seeing her off, so I went alone. Entrance packed. Traffic, police cars, parents everywhere. Some taking photos, some giving advice, some smoking. Most eye-catching were those in Cheongsam's. Red, pink floral, holding sunflowers. May you achieve a resounding victory. I glanced at the sign and walked towards the hall. First exam Chinese, 9 to 11:30. Room on 2nd floor, 3rd teaching building. Found my seat, 3rd row by window. 8:45, proctors entered. Woman with exam record, man with sealed papers. Female teacher told everyone to put admission ticket and ID in upper left corner. Rustling. 8:55, papers opened. Handed out scratch paper and answer sheets. I wrote my name and number, put down pen, waited. Breathing quieted around me. Someone swallowing was particularly clear. Compared to tense expressions of others, I appeared very relaxed. Got the paper, glanced at essay prompt. 3 materials to create a topic. Glanced briefly, turned to page 1, started answering. At 11, half hour before end, I raised my hand. Said I was handing in. Proctor paused, walked over, asked if I didn't want to check. I said no need. She glanced at my paper, then the clock, nodded, took it away. I picked up my file bag, walked out, went downstairs to wait. 20 minutes later saw Lynn, she walk out. Called out to her. She saw me, happy smile, walked quickly over. I asked how the exam went. She said not bad, how about me? I said didn't she know my strength? Definitely not a problem. She said bullshit. We chatted walking toward the gate. Her expression changed. Said her dad and mom. I followed her gaze. Among the parents, a middle-aged couple craning their necks. Man in dark gray jacket, 40s, upright, steady gaze. Looked like system worker. Woman under 40, fair skin, resembled Lin Shi. Read Chongsam, drawing glances from male parents. Before I could react, they spotted Lin Shi and walked over. Lin's mother smiled, but gaze fell on me, scanning head to toe. Lin's father behind, expression unreadable. Tall, designer brands not fake, family well off. Lin's mother smiled deeper. Lin's father glanced once more. Lin Shi greeted them. Her mother said they came to pick her up, asked if I was her classmate. Lin Shi opened her mouth, but I stepped forward, bowed slightly. Said hello, I was Chun Fan, Lin Shi's classmate. Lin's mother nodded. Lin's father scrutinized me, asked how I did on first exam. I smiled, said alright, 140 shouldn't be a problem. He raised an eyebrow, said quite confident. Lin Shi chimed in, I was first in our grade, 699 in last mock. Surprise in his eyes, scrutiny lessened. Lin's mother chuckled, asked where I lived, offered a ride. I said Zijin Garden. Her eyes lit up, same neighborhood. Under Lin's father's unfriendly gaze, I followed to his black Buick Excel. Got in, Lin's mother took front seat. Lin Shi and I sat back. She asked which building. I said building 5803. Close, one building away. She'd visit CC after exams. Deliberate coughs from the driver. I said okay, auntie. She asked which university. I said Chong'an Jiaodong University. Her eyes lit up. Chong'an was great. CC applying to Chong'an University too. I could take care of her. More coughing from driver. Lin Shi had buried her face in the seat. I glanced at the driver, saw only the back of his head. Looked away, smiled. Said don't worry, auntie. Half-hour drive to Zijin Garden parking. Parted ways with Lin Shi's family. Lin's mother said they'd take me to the afternoon exam too. I said no need, already too much trouble. She said just on the way. I thanked them. Lin's father sat with hands on wheel, staring ahead, expressionless. Didn't cough this time. Wife had already decided. Next few exams I always rode in Lin's father's car. Initially refused, but Lin's mother insisted. With the end of last English exam, my high school career ended. Afternoon of June 8th. Last English. Finished essay. Put down pen. Glanced out window. Sun shining brightly, just like first day. Handed in early, walked out. Got my stuff, waited for Lin Shi outside. Exam ended. Candidates walked out. Lin Shi was among them. Lin Shi saw me, quickened pace, walked straight over. I asked how the exam went. She didn't speak. Smile vanished, replaced by faint sadness. My heart skipped, voice tightened. Asked what was wrong. She remained silent, eyes lowered, lips pressed tight. I grew anxious, said it didn't matter if English went badly. Other subjects were fine, total would definitely be. Halfway through, she suddenly looked up and burst out laughing. No trace of sadness. I stood stunned. Then it dawned on me I'd been tricked. I squinted, stepped forward. Said fine, she dared lie to me. She took half a step back, said she was wrong. I grabbed her, asked what she did wrong. Hand on her waist, not hard but not letting go. She dared not move, face flushed, eyelashes trembling. Said wrong. I didn't let go. She glared, whispered let go first. I said I could, but she had to tell me. Would she dare lie again? She pursed her lips, silent. I raised an eyebrow. She said softly she wouldn't dare. I released her. She glared, straightened clothes, called me childish brat. I just looked at her and smiled. She looked away, muttered exam was over, what next? I said didn't know. Should we go home? Her parents still waiting. At the gate her parents were there. Father leaning on car, mother on tiptoe peering. To my surprise my parents came too, and they were with Lin Shi's parents. Mom and dad by the silver Skoda, talking to Lin's mother with smiles. Lin's father to the side, nodding. 2 cars side by side, one black, one silver. I was stunned. Called out Dad, Mom. Lin's mother was taken aback. Said this child wasn't even dating Cece yet and already calling her mom. Mom was already waving, asking if we finished. Lin's mother realized the people she'd talked to for over an hour were my parents. What a coincidence. I greeted Lin's parents first. then introduced Lin Shi to my parents. She bowed slightly, said hello. Mom smiled, looked her up and down, said this girl was really beautiful. Lin's mother leaned over, said she never expected Xiao Fan would be her son. Mom paused, looked at Lin's father, then asked if they'd met me. Lin's mother nodded, said these past 2 days I'd been riding in their car to the exam. Mom smiled with relief, said I didn't want them to drive me, afraid of troubling them, but ended up troubling them instead. Lin's mother waved her hand, said no trouble, all on the way. Lin Shi and I stood aside watching the two get along so well they forgot us. Lin's mother suggested both families go out for a meal, welcome us back. Mom said great, too lazy to cook. Both women looked at their husbands. Dad nodded. Lin's father nodded. Decided. Lin Shi and I exchanged glances. Her eyes said what's going on. I shrugged, I didn't know either. Both families got in cars. Drove half-hour to a restaurant called Juxinlu. Waiter led us upstairs to a private room, Zhongnan Pavilion. Could see night view from the window. Mom and Lin's mother sat together, started chatting. Lin's father knew the place, took the menu, ordered. Gourd chicken, pork belly, sweet and sour pork, more dishes. Lin's mother said that was enough. He said they could pack leftovers. Closed menu handed to waiter. I glanced at Lin's father. He looked over. I smiled, asked if he came here often. He said company dinners here, food all right, reasonably priced. I nodded. Mom and Lin's mother chatted about everything from exams to the kids when they were little. After dishes served, Lin's father picked up his drink. Said he couldn't drink, driving, tea instead. Paused, gazed over Lin Shi and me. Everyone picked up cups. Lin Shi and I exchanged a glance, picked up ours. I said thank you Uncle Lin. Lin Shi whispered thank you Dad. 6 cups clinked together. Lin Shi saw me, quickened pace, walked straight over. I asked how the exam went. She didn't speak. Smile vanished, replaced by faint sadness. My heart skipped, voice tightened. Asked what was wrong. She remained silent, eyes lowered, lips pressed tight. I grew anxious, said it didn't matter if English went badly. Other subjects were fine, total would definitely be. Halfway through she suddenly looked up and burst out laughing. No trace of sadness. I stood stunned. Then it dawned on me I'd been tricked. I squinted, stepped forward. Said fine, she dared lie to me. She took half a step back, said she was wrong. I grabbed her, asked what she did wrong. Hand on her waist, not hard but not letting go. She dared not move, face flushed, eyelashes trembling. Said wrong. I didn't let go. She glared, whispered let go first. I said I could but she had to tell me. Would she dare lie again? She pursed her lips, silent. I raised an eyebrow. She said softly she wouldn't dare. I released her. She glared, straightened clothes, called me childish brat. I just looked at her and smiled. She looked away, muttered exam was over, what next? I said didn't know, should we go home, her parents still waiting. At the gate her parents were there. Father leaning on car, mother on tiptoe peering. To my surprise my parents came too, and they were with Lin Shi's parents. Mom and Dad by the silver Skoda, talking to Lin's mother with smiles. Lin's father to the side, nodding. 2 cars side by side, 1 black, 1 silver. I was stunned. Called out Dad, Mom. Lin's mother was taken aback. Said this child wasn't even dating Cece yet and already calling her mom. Mom was already waving, asking if we finished. Lin's mother realized the people she'd talked to for over an hour were my parents. What a coincidence. I greeted Lin's parents first, then introduced Lin Shi to my parents. She bowed slightly, said hello. Mom smiled, looked her up and down, said this girl was really beautiful. Lin's mother leaned over, said she never expected Xiao Fan would be her son. Mom paused, looked at Lin's father, then asked if they'd met me. Lin's mother nodded, said these past 2 days I'd been riding in their car to the exam. Mom smiled with relief, said I didn't want them to drive me, afraid of troubling them, but ended up troubling them instead. Lin's mother waved her hand, said no trouble, all on the way. Lin Shi and I stood aside watching the two get along so well they forgot us. Lin's mother suggested both families go out for a meal, welcome us back. Mom said great, too lazy to cook. Both women looked at their husbands. Dad nodded. Lin's father nodded. Decided. Lin Shi and I exchanged glances. Her eyes said what's going on. I shrugged, I didn't know either. Both families got in cars. Drove half-hour to a restaurant called Juxinlu. Waiter led us upstairs to a private room, Zhongnan Pavilion. Could see night view from the window. Mom and Lin's mother sat together, started chatting. Lin's father knew the place, took the menu, ordered. Gourd chicken, pork belly, sweet and sour pork, more dishes. Lin's mother said that was enough. He said they could pack leftovers. Closed menu handed to waiter. I glanced at Lin's father. He looked over. I smiled, asked if he came here often. He said company dinners here, food all right, reasonably priced. I nodded. Mom and Lin's mother chatted about everything from exams to the kids when they were little. After dishes served, Lin's father picked up his drink. Said he couldn't drink, driving, tea instead. Paused, gazed over Lin Shi and me. Everyone picked up cups. Lin Shi and I exchanged a glance, picked up ours. I said thank you, Uncle Lin. Lin Shi whispered thank you, Dad. 6 cups clinked together.